and it's a song about his grandma's boyfriend. That's how he described it to me. It almost described perfectly me and my grandpa growing up together.
Desperados waiting for a train. Thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it, man. I really do, man. This is Bruce Goes here with you. We're gonna show a fight from something I just found out this today, bro. A little while ago, man. 48 years old today. Wow. Who's old enough to remember this? This is gonna be a good one, man. And the first thing I want to do, I want to thank everybody that stopped in here tonight, man. I appreciate it, man. I really do. I just decided to pop this up, man. And damn, I look up and I see the family coming in here, man. And damn, I appreciate that like you wouldn't believe, man. Norris of Loxley, the first guy in here. Salute my brother, John McSmith, man. Thank you for coming in. The Nordic Warrior in here, bro. Mr. Pads in the building. My brother Phil J. Thank you, bro. Rodolfo Rivera Jr., man. I just saw him on the Random Acoustic channel, man. I hooked up on with Twitter. He hooked up with me, and man, I'm glad you're here, my brother. D-Ray, my man. And St. Cruisin', bro. St. Cruisin', OG, man. I appreciate you coming in here. Remy, salute my brother, man. Salute. My brother Mark from Unrivaled Boxing, of course, man. Couldn't have this without you over here, my brother. And Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens, man. Shout out to you, bro. Mr. Mechanical, thank you for coming in. Hyphy, thank you. Yahweh, my brother, salute to you, man. Mr. Mechanical. Oh, it's getting better and better, bro. You know, I put this up because, I remember this. There we go. Get it so I can look at you. I'm still kind of green with this. You know, speaking of green, we got something else here nice and green. A little bit of sour diesel. This is going to get me through, it's going to get me through this. And, being a card-carrying marijuana patient, bro, this is all legit for me over here, man. I'm gonna do a few tokes here while we get ready for this great fight coming up, man. See if anybody comes up here with me. Oh, no, a no lighter. Imagine that, sitting down here for a few tokes with no lighter. This is not going to work, man. This is absolutely not going to work. You're going to have to excuse me for a second. Whoops. They're getting all tangled up over here. I'll be right back. There we go. There we go. Where there's fire, there shall be light. So we're gonna fire a couple up here while we kick back, man. Any of you guys remember this fight? Anybody old enough to live through this fight? The sweetness of sour diesel. You know, I could really use somebody to call this fight with me. I know this old cat. He's been on my show a couple of times, man. George Jakovic, he produced him over at HBO, bro. You know, I'm gonna give him a quick text, see if he wants to join me for this fight. Because you know, George is my brother. So let's see if he's up for it over here, man. Send. Technology's a wonderful thing. Hey, George told me go fuck myself. Yeah, that's not very cool, but anyway, man. Let's see what's up here. Hey, George, my brother, how are you doing?
What's up, Bruce?
I'm doing great, bro. I was just out there going around and then I saw somebody notified me, bro, that 48 years ago tonight was the elevator fight with George Foreman and Ron Lyle, bro. And you know, that's a fight that you just mentioned that fight today, and everybody, if they didn't live through it, they've watched it. They've seen it, man. What a war, brother.
As soon as you reached out to me and said you were doing that fight, 'cause I didn't realize it was that long either. But whew, man, that's the beauty of YouTube. You talk about these fights and people can watch. And that fight, oh man, for people that like, this is a treat. For people, this is like new boxing fans or young boxing fans or even old boxing fans. If they didn't see this fight, if you've never seen this fight, it's a boxing treat.
You know, I've always said if this fight, if people had seen this fight and heavyweight continued like this, there would be no need for MMA. I mean, this was just brutality at its finest. I mean, you know, we didn't see a great boxing lesson. We didn't see Sugar Ray Leonard in there. You know, we didn't see Shakur Stevenson. We saw a couple of pit bulls.
Yeah.
And now you want to say anything about these fighters before we put this up, George?
Well, I guess when they fought, obviously, Foreman was an ex-champ. He was trying to get a title shot, and Lyle. I don't believe Lyle had he fought Ali at this point?
No, he hadn't fought Ali, I don't believe.
Right. So Lyle,
he fought Ali, but see the thing about this fight that makes it so beautiful is Ron Lyle, 7.5 years in Colorado State Prison for murder,
right,
and pardoned by the governor. And Ron Lyle was a cold man. I talked to people who met him, and they said they had to warm their hands up after shaking his hand after all this time. I mean, yeah. And we look back on Ron Lyle. You know, he was arrested for he pulled over his wife in the car and took a couple of shots at her. You know, these are the things we don't have social media today. We don't hear these things, but I think he threw her out of a second-story window, kind of like the Carlos Monzon. He was a crazy man, Ron Lyle.
Yeah, well, he was crazy, but in the ring, you know, he was in that golden age of heavyweights, and he fit right in. And he still had his biggest days ahead of him. You know, he hadn't fought Ali at this point, so he was just a guy out of prison trying to make a name in that tough division. And man, it was tough. It was, what a division from top to bottom.
I was just informed that Lyle and Ali was in 75.
Okay.
We learn something every day. But see, and also the thing about George Foreman is this is after he got beat by Ali. And George Foreman, he was in a crazy state of mind. He had that spectacle in Montreal. I don't know if you remember that. He fought 5 different heavyweights on the same card.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it.
You know, because George wanted to show that he had the conditioning to go to 15 rounds because he was so psyched to do a rematch with Ali.
Yeah.
And this fight was 2 top heavyweight contenders. A collision course. Ron Lyle had just got through with that that fight with Ernie Shavers, which was a phone booth war. If
Right.
anybody hasn't seen that fight, they just get in there, touch heads to each other, and rock 'em, sock 'em robots until Ernie Shavers is the last man till Ron Lyle is the last man standing. But man, great stuff, great fights, and it all led up to this.
Legendary names, Bruce. Legendary.
Now I'm gonna see if I can do this right here, George. I'm not a expert at this here, so I'm gonna have to do a little of my internet tech savvy over here. See if I get this thing going over here, bro. All right, I think we're gonna be good over here, man. I think we're gonna be good. Let's see if the sound here. I don't know if we're allowed to play the sound on this.
Well, I'll tell you, if someone from ABC is watching this now on this channel and they flag it, I would be shocked.
All right then. If we can't remember this, I mean the agony of defeat. That's a little too loud. Yeah, we're watching George Foreman, man. Amazing fighter. You know, he bred fear into his opponents until after the Ali fight. And in fact, the fight right after this was the Jimmy Young fight, which we all saw. But George, just a scary looking dude from down Texas, sparred with Sonny Liston. I mean, what he did to Joe Frazier in this fight.
He said he was scared of Joe Frazier. Now, I don't know if it's true. He said it in interviews that he was scared to death of Joe Frazier when they fought, and his knees were shaking.
Yeah, his knees were knocking.
If you looked at his face, he sure didn't look scared.
No, he had that stone look on his face. I'm sure half of the fighters were defeated just with that stare down that he had. And this, the beat downs that he put on, just amazing stuff. And when he went down to Zaire, when he fought Muhammad Ali, I was afraid for Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, everyone seemed to be afraid. They thought he was going to die that night. Like not lose the fight, get killed.
Exactly. I was one of them. I mean, it was George Foreman just had that aura. I mean, look at what he did to Ken Norton, who went 15 and 12 rounds with Muhammad Ali and never had a clear-cut decision either way. Any time that he fought Ali, even in the 3 fights. And George, that just shows you the triangle theory. It goes out the window.
Well, yeah, I hate little cliches, but styles make fights. You're right. Ali struggled with Norton. He struggled with Frazier. And George Foreman, he flicked them away like they were flies. Like he got rid of them like they were nothing.
It seems the aura of the puncher. That was the thing about Ken Norton. He had that. He could fight any other fighter, but when it came to a bona fide puncher like Shavers, Jerry Quarry, George Foreman, I think you could combine the rounds of those fights and we wouldn't come up with 5 rounds.
I think you're right. Yeah, but you're right. But all the boxers, like, look at this stare down. Lyle was a tough dude.
Oh, dude, yeah. Lyle was tough and mean, and bro. Now this was in '76, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. This was
it was
the bicentennial year, bro. That was a great year for me. I had just graduated from college. I bought a new car. I had my choice of several jobs. It was a great time.
Wow.
And bro, and this fight to be one, and I was aspiring into boxing. I wasn't like head over heels as I was a few years later, because I was a kid. I had a lot.
It was good action up there. Look at that right hand. Woo.
Oh man. Totally in shock that he got beat by Muhammad Ali. And here we go. He just got hit again.
shot at the end of that fight landed. It was like Cooney had a magnet on his chin, and everything he threw landed.
He broke bones in that fight. Ron Lyle. I believe that. I'm not going to say for sure if it was his last fight. It was his last fight in the spotlight. And, and it was the fight before the Norton fight. Cooney was fed. He'll admit it. He was fed soft touches, over the hill fighters on his way up, to build the confidence. Which it's too bad that he didn't carry into the Larry Holmes fight. But this fight was so interesting. I didn't even do any hits on my Toka 2. And shout out to Jimmy Young.
You know what's funny, Bruce? I'm looking at Lyle's record, and it looked like he retired after Cooney beat him, but he came back in 1995. I didn't realize this. He had 4 fights in 1995, didn't fight any big names, but he won them all by knockout, and then he retired again. So 15 years later, he came back, fought 4 times, had 4 wins. I mean, the guys he fought, one guy's record was 9-29. Another guy was 4-3. Then in 1995, Ron Lyle fought the immortal Ed Strickland, who was 0-20, 0-20, and then he fought a guy with a 5-17 record. So he went out with a win.
Well, with fighters, what else are they going to do? They're not going to wait on tables. They're not going to paint houses. Fighters fight. So sadly, sometimes they're for way too long, and most fighters they don't leave. They don't end their career with a W. The greatest fighters out there. Think about it, man. The Mount Rushmore. Shout out to my brother Andrew Charles out there. Man, I'm sitting over here with my brother George Jakovic, man. This was a last minute show, and thanks for everybody that showed up here, man. I'm really, man. Teach my brother. D-Ray's out there. I don't want to miss anybody. Kui, thank you so much for coming in here. I think I pretty much shouted people, but people are still coming in, and I the Jab Jamboree, my brother Akaricha. Salute, man. Salute. But anyway, man, I saw that this was the 48th anniversary of Ron Lyle and George Foreman, and I just said, I'm going to do something about this. I didn't see much going on YouTube, and
I didn't see anything about this fight. No reminders except for you.
No, brother. Sometimes it's an old relic like me, and we got the technology to do it. I got a little bit in here that's still cooking tonight to do it, and I said I'm gonna go out there. I'm just gonna do a special on this fight because 2 more years, the 50th anniversary. That's gonna be all over the place.
What a fight! What a fight! What a fight! And it's funny, Foreman. He would retire. That fight was in '76. He retired in '77, I think, after he lost to Jimmy Young, and then he was gone for 10 years. So.
And that's another thing to talk about. That was an amazing big George Foreman. After Jimmy Young, he said he saw God. He died and went to heaven and saw God and came back down again. And God said, I don't want you to use your fists in anger. I want you to spread my word. And George was on the streets in Houston, Texas.
Incredible story.
Bro, I mean, he gave it all away. He built his church. He was getting youth off the street, showing them there was a better way. And 10 years later, he needed a roof for his church. And he said he talked to God, and God said, it's okay to come back, George. And bro, the rest is such history, man. The night that he knocked out Michael Moore. Well, first of all, the fact that he got to fight Evander Holyfield. That was huge.
I was in college, and I remember it was a pay-per-view, and we went to someone's parents' house to watch the fight, and everybody was rooting for George. And he landed some jabs against Holyfield because he would shoot that 1-2. Some of his jabs they knocked Holyfield back so far that he couldn't land his right.
Bro, Holyfield went back to his corner, and he said to his cornerman, he said, I think my teeth are in my mouthpiece. Don't take it out. He was serious about that. He got hit so hard by George.
You know, a lot of people thought Foreman was a joke because he changed his personality and he was eating cheeseburgers and making fun of himself. I don't remember what round in that fight, but there was a point where Holyfield must have unloaded 20 or 30 shots.
Oh,
And Foreman took every single one and he kept coming forward. Like he wasn't a joke anymore. People weren't laughing anymore after that, even though he lost the fight.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And the cheeseburgers. George was digging that. George was going out there with a platter full of cheeseburgers and munching on them and saying, "Oh, you don't have to worry about me. I'm just a big old fat man eating cheeseburgers." And he knock off. But when he first came back, he was taking on. I mean, it's almost like it was the Mike Tyson beginning of his pro career days. All those old names that you'd see.
I mean, he fought Dwight Muhammad Qawi. Muhammad Qawi moved up to heavyweight to fight him.
That was the biggest name. That's what when I saw that. I kind of knew it was serious. But like Steve Zowski,
all those retreads. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. All the retreads. But and even did he fight Alex Stewart before Holyfield or after Holyfield?
Let's see. I'm pulling up his record right now. So he fought.
After.
He fought. You're right. It was 2 fights later. He fought Holyfield in April of '91. 2 fights later, he fought Alex Stewart.
And I don't know if you remember what his face looked like after the Alex Stewart.
I wish I was like Drew. Like Drew can put up those pictures of those fights. His face was just, oh man.
Hey, shout out to Tim Mussey, the Skywalker out there. Oh, Tim Mussey, that's Bobby Chacon's nephew, George.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. Someday I'm going to do a Bobby Chacon fight up here.
What a great fighter! What a great fighter! And another sad story, just heartbreaking story, but just salute because he was a great fighter.
Absolutely. I could talk about Bobby for hours, man. You know, I'm going to really bite my tongue and not do it tonight because we're going to talk about the George Foreman and Ron Lyle and the heavyweights of that era. You know, I see somebody in and bango. You know, especially my brother Tim Mussey, great supporter, great boxing fan, dude. This man is a window washer in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona. He's up there on the 22nd floor doing a live. He's got, Spider-Man out there. Shout out to Tim Mussey, brother. Man,
someone brought up
to have you in here, sir.
You brought up Chacon, and now people are talking about Chacon versus Bazooka Lamone, all those fights that they had. I remember Chacon and Cornelius Boza Edwards. He was in so many fights of the year. Man, you're right though. I mean, let's try and stay on the path of Foreman because if you start talking Chacon, then we're down that path, and that path can go on all night.
Yeah, we're on the comeback. We were just talking about Alex Stewart, and that's when people were saying, George, get out of the game. You've done enough. You know, you've proven yourself, and he called Bob Arum, and that's when Michael Mora beat Evander Holyfield.
Yes.
Evander said he had a hole in his heart and heart problem, and we can talk about that a little bit later. But anyway, Michael Mora beat Evander Holyfield on a unanimous decision, and Michael Mora was the champion. And who's the name heavyweight out there? Who's going to be his cherry pick? His first fight, the name on his resume, old George Foreman. Michael Mora laughed. I don't even have to train for this fight. And man, I sat here watching that fight, and I was feeling sorry for George. Michael Mora was picking him apart, man. He was just doing what Alex Stewart did to George.
I watched that fight with my best friend in the world, and we really thought George had a shot just because he was bigger than Moore, and we said, man, he can land that shot. And you know when you're watching a fight and you're really rooting for a guy and the bell rings and you're so into it and you're rooting for the guy, but round by round, Moore just kept popping that jab, popping the jab, the right jab, and Foreman couldn't get away from it. And it went from excitement to thinking, damn, George might get hurt tonight until round 10.
Oh,
Until round
oh.
10. And we jumped up. Oh man, what a moment. I'm looking at Foreman's record, and I forgot this, but he had Foreman's previous fight was over. Over a year, almost a year and a half before, when he fought Tommy Morrison. You remember that? And Tommy
Yeah.
Morrison, I'll tell you this: Tommy Morrison might not have been a great fighter, but people hated the way he fought against Foreman, but he fought a smart fight. You're fighting a 40-some-odd-year-old guy who's immobile. Box him. And Morrison boxed him that night, and people were mad because they wanted to see them go toe-to-toe. Why would anyone go toe-to-toe with George Foreman? Bad things happen when you go toe-to-toe. So Morrison he fought a smart fight.
Yeah. No.
You stand.
I really thought that was the end of. I thought that was the end of George Foreman right there.
Me too.
I was. It was almost becoming the pathetic George Foreman show. It's like, come on, George, you've proven it all. You got the George Foreman grill out there, bro. I mean, dude, what's going on? But man, that shocking night. That was like just. It was a Saturday night, and I had a weekend bartending job. I was working full time, but I was also tending bar at this social club a few towns over, and I had to get up and open the place at 8:00 in the morning. Believe it or not, people were drinking at 8:00 in the morning back in the day.
God.
Shout out to those guys at the PA club in Portsmouth. But anyway, I brought the VCR tape in the next morning, and I was saying, "You guys watch the George Foreman fight?" Oh no, what happened? I said, "George Foreman's the heavyweight champion of the world," and it was like, "No, you have." I said, "I'll show it to you if you go down and get me a coffee and a donut." And it was, well, that was one of those tapes where I clocked out at 3 or 4, and oh, come on, leave the tape. I said, "Man, you're not gonna believe how many people are gonna want to see this tape." But it was that kind of a fight, and when George knocked him out, that one punch. Overhand right where Mora was just eyes open, counting the lights in the
just
chandelier.
looking up, and you could see his lip like blowing up. You could see it blowing up, and it was just a short. George like shot a short right, and and again, I'm looking at his record. He got stripped. Foreman got stripped because he wouldn't fight Tony Tucker, which of course he wouldn't. He fought Axel Schultz. He beat him, beat Crawford Grimsley. He beat Lou Savarese, split decision. And then the last fight of Foreman's career was against Shannon Briggs. Now, I do remember watching that fight, and I thought it was robbery. I thought Foreman won that fight. And then he retired in 1997. That was Big George's last fight. It was a loss against Briggs, but I thought he won the fight, and that was it. The Hall of Famer hung up his gloves in '97.
You know, the thing is, we can say we saw him. Though. That was just such a great thing. And I personally, I can say I saw both careers.
Yeah.
And it was just a beautiful thing, man. If I dropped the link out there, anybody who's a fan of this era of boxing that wants to come and share some stories with us, man. You know, me and George are sitting up here. Me George and the Toka too. You know, man. I just love. I love getting back and talking about some of this, the old fights, because even the fights we saw the other night, controversy already. I mean, to me. Did you see that fight? Did you watch that fight? I don't even have to watch it twice. I don't even remember the Filipino guy. I can't remember his name. But to me, it was just it was a clear cut fight. And watching this fight right here was just it's more exciting. I can see people out there just talking about it, and everybody who's seen it has they want to see it again. And it's 48 years. Damn. It's like, yeah, and 48 years, and it's like it happened Saturday night.
Watching this fight, watch the bad taste out of that Gary Russell fight, because it was not a good fight. So watching this, like, it washed that bad taste out. I remember the night that Tyson and Holyfield fought their rematch, the bite fight, which everyone was expecting a great fight, like Tyson's going to get revenge. And then the way it ended, and you're like, wait, what? And you paid all that money, and this he bit him and got DQ'd. I remember after that fight going through the channels, and I think ESPN Classic had a replay of Ali Foreman, and we watched that. It was a bunch of us, and we watched that just to get in a better mood from the shit, the bad, the bite, which you paid. Those fights cost money, and the way it ended. So you watched the Russell Messiah. Yeah, I forget his name too. Like that fight's gone now.
Messiah, my brother Remy's pointing at Messiah.
Thank you, Messiah.
Imagine if he becomes as big a featherweight as like Salvador Sanchez someday, and
who Messiah?
I'm sorry, forgive me, Salvador and boxing gods, but I mean he has the name is just nondescript. It's almost like a Jeopardy question. Who is the current WBC featherweight champion? And somebody's going to get that bell in before I am.
Yeah.
It's the sad affair of boxing today. Tim Witherspoon loved my comment. Tim put a video out today. I just got an email. You know how your email comes up on the bottom of your screen?
Right.
When you get acknowledgments on social media. Tim's got a new channel on YouTube, and he's putting up stuff. And I've been tight with Tim lately. We've been going back and forth, talking a little bit. He's been on my show. He wants to come on and do another one. He put a thing out today. He's showing a lot of fighting tips on his show. He was showing some basic defense today, and I gave him a thumbs up. He just acknowledged it, man. I just shout out to Tim. If anybody's not subbed to Tim's channel, man, go check it out, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Love to hear from Witherspoon. Yeah, when I was on your show last week, his manager was on the show with us.
Yeah, Brian.
Brian.
He's such a cool guy.
Yeah.
And his heart, he's working. He's trying to make. He's trying to get Tim some money because Tim's had it tough lately. And he was just in a car accident last week too, man.
Really?
But he lost his car. He has insurance, but you know how it is with liability and everything else, man. He didn't get hurt. Nobody else got hurt, but just another smack for somebody who's just fallen a lot lately, man. And we're over here. We're talking boxing, which we're trying to give these fighters their flowers while they're still here to accept them. And it's even tonight. Just reaching out to George Foreman, Ron Lyle, God rest his soul. But man, they gave us such great moments, just entertaining fighters that I was lucky enough to see, and lucky enough to be here with you, George, to chop them up like something I never thought in a million years that I'd be doing, man.
I got to interview George because when I was at HBO, he was an announcer for the first year. So it was, man, I think it was around 2014, maybe. I went to China because Top Rank had a Chinese fighter by the name of Zhu Shiming. And Aaron was trying to get boxing. He did a couple of fights in China. They were trying to build boxing up. They figured he was a Chinese Olympian. He was a gold medalist in the Olympics. They figured with all the people in China, if they can get them interested in boxing, they would make money. So I went over there and did a feature that aired on HBO, and George was there, and I got to interview George. I had never interviewed him, and his son, one of his sons, all the sons are named George. It's a famous story. So when I met George, I introduced myself. I said, I love your name. And he was like, I said, my name's George too. So he smiled. He was happy to meet another George. And I shook his hand, and man, that dude has some big hands. I wouldn't want to get hurt. I've got that book too. Yep. So I got to interview George, and it was cool. It was cool.
Me and you have a lot of the same toys, don't we, bro?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm a freak when it comes to the books. I have so many boxing books. I think the last one I read was Bruce Peltz, the promoter in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. If you haven't read his book, it's a long book. It's about 400 pages. Really well done.
Now,
Really.
now, is that the father of J. Russell Peltz?
No. Russell Pelt. That is Russell. Yeah, we're
Oh,
talking about
okay.
the same guy from Philadelphia, the promoter.
Bruce Peltz is his.
That's him. It was a great book. I mean, great book.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Colin
Yeah,
Shawnery, George Meet George. Yeah, that was fun.
Judge meet Judge. Oh yeah, I love it. Well, that's how I basically got my education. How I get my education for the old fighters, because we got the historians that come on here, and these guys, they read books. They go on the internet and they just get so much information. See, when I was growing up, every once in a while there'd be like a Ring magazine, the Joe Louis commemorative, and they would have every Joe Louis fight in there and a story about him. And I bought that mag, and I'd have that for 3 months. I'd read everything in there about Joe Louis. I'd read, his first big fight against Primo Carnera, and then, coming up against Max Baer, fighting all the former champions, and, the loss to Max Schmeling. And I got to be pretty good at Joe Louis just from going through that ring over and over again. But
Right.
See, today you don't get those magazines, and it's a hard thing to be able to go on the internet and pick out a fighter and go every day. Like with me, I just pick up that Ring mag, go in the bathroom, and just read another Joe. Read the Bum of the Month articles. Read about Tony Galento and the Billy Khan, the almost upset, and Joe getting drafted in the Army, all that
Right.
stuff. But that was just from one of those little $1.95 Ring magazines that we have boxes of in our closet, man.
You know what's funny though? If you remember this, but those magazines, they were like 3 months behind with the fights.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't get it, but when you would get the fight updates, they were literally like 3 months before when you got the magazine. So
not only that, but I was reading one the other day, and they have the undercards. They have the undercards in the back.
Yep.
And the undercard, the fights are 3 months before the magazine was printed. So
That's
the
what I'm
undercard
saying. Yeah.
results, they're 6 months
Oh my God. Yeah.
history.
Yeah, they were way behind.
Oh,
Way behind.
Yeah,
But Ring magazine is still here. Rodolfo Rivera is still.
is it still in hard copy though? Do you
It
still
is.
get it?
It is. I know the editor of Ring is a guy named Doug Fisher. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah. I know.
And they still do a hard copy. You can get a digital too, but you can still get a hard copy. I have one somewhere. Before Pacquiao fought Spence, this was out in the summer. So it's still. It's still a beautiful magazine, but I remember as a kid, man, getting money, like finding money in the couch cushions and everywhere else to get enough money. And there was this one store near me that the bottom rack, it was all boxing magazines. And they were like porn magazines, like right next to it. There were all the boxing magazines, and I would buy as many as I could.
I had that. There was a magazine store in my town, a small town. So she'd get them in. I think there were maybe 5 major boxing magazines. So the Ring, the KO, the Boxing Insider, Boxing International, and so anyway, I'd say just save them all from me and call me when they come in, because they all came in pretty much the same time.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where it was I look forward to it, and especially when it was a Ring magazine in there. Ring was like the Bible of the boxing mags. Ring, especially when Bert Sugar was contributing to it.
And Randy Gordon, Bert Sugar and Randy Gordon were doing that magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why,
Fantastic.
when I was on with you yesterday, I forget the young man's name, but we had a kid on there that I think was in his 20s. He was like an encyclopedia, the way he would research, and Boxing Illustrated too, the way he would research. And that I love that. I love the enthusiasm, but I also love to talk to people who went through that era. Like when I spoke to Randy Gordon about Muhammad Ali, he lived through all that. You lived through. I was very young when Foreman and Lyle fought, but you remember watching that fight live. So I love the people who do the research and know boxing well, but it's also what I love is to talk about people who have been through it, and they can remember emotions when they watched a fight or how the world was back then. Like you need that perspective, you need that history.
Well, that was one of the most beautiful parts, back in, 'cause somebody was asking me the other night, what was my biggest moment in boxing, and man, that's like, I got to think about that. But then after a minute, I said, just like Randy Gordon was saying, the Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier won. I mean, that was the fight that divided a country. I mean, that was a fight where you had love it or leave it on one side, and you had Ali, no Vietnam on the other side. And, there was pretty much no in the middle ground back then. It was cops were busting your heads if you were in the protests, and bro, it was the whole country, and they stopped to watch that fight. That was the peace generation against the war generation, the Dubs against the Hawks, man. And it was just a time. And to try to relive that, I was only about 16 years old, but I can just remember that, all the energy around it, and the older generation, they were all for Joe Frazier, and they were waving American flags, and Ali was the draft dodger, and it was like, but Ali's my man, and well, then you're a draft dodger, so just a crazy time, and oh man.
Con Shawnery said he loved the old Burt Sugar quotes. Burt Sugar's another guy I got to interview a couple of times. I did one interview with him, and I don't remember what fight it was for, but Burt Sugar was so good at telling stories, and the interview was done. It was pretty quick. It was only about half an hour, and I remember he said the interview was over, and he said, "Over. I've only been here for 30 minutes. I've got more stories." So we talked for like another hour just about nothing that was going to be in the show, just because Burt Sugar wanted to keep talking. I wasn't going to tell him, no, the interview's over. So we just talked boxing for like another hour. And that guy was a great storyteller. He was a great storyteller, Burt Sugar.
I don't think there's anybody I like listening to from television, watching him tell stories than Burt Sugar. Because Burt, he's just so hip on not boxing, but the three B's back then. I mean, the three sports were horse racing, boxing, and baseball. And Burt's just so on top with them. And then he'll throw NBA gems in there. It's just like you. I think it was you telling me, what has he got? 5-6 books out that are just so complete. And I mean, shout out to Burt Sugar. Mad Chad, who was on here with us the other day, he met Burt Sugar.
He talked about that. Yeah.
Oh, good stuff, bro. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, I miss him, but I love to talk to people who have experienced the times and the fights and can really give you the first person perspective. But I appreciate like the kid that was on with us because he knew his stuff. He was talking about Harry Greb. I don't remember if he was 22, 23. What 23-year-old knows about Harry Greb? Most 63-year-olds don't know Harry Greb. Not us, but who knows Harry Greb? I was impressed that he knows who and he's just got enthusiasm and he wants to learn more. And you can do all that with YouTube. I mean, you can see almost everything.
Shout out to Xavier the Boxing Nerd. I saw him on a show today. I go to a lot of these historians, just listen to what they say. Sometimes I don't even say anything in the chat. I give them a thumbs up, but they're just so entertaining because there's really almost nothing I can say there. These guys are spitting out gems. And speaking of spitting out gems, man, here's one from Ireland. His name is Unrivaled Boxing. Some of his friends call him Mark. Mark, this is my friend George Jakovic. What's happening?
Nice to meet you, George. How are you?
Good to meet you, Mark.
I wanted to ask something to both of you guys, right? I've been hearing the way you guys are talking about the fights from yesterday a bit, like the Lyle and Foreman fight, and then we were talking about fights a bit more modernized, and it felt like both of you had a gripe with the way boxing may have fallen off in terms of maybe wow factor, maybe buzz, excitement. But do you feel like maybe that also has been attributed to modern day journalism as well, because I feel as though it gets a little bit stale. It's like it's the same repetitive quotes all the time from the same guys. I don't feel there's any creation. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
It is stale compared to the past. I mean, first of all, the mainstream media doesn't even pay attention to boxing anymore. You know, you have to go to specific boxing websites now to get your stuff, and everything is different. We just watched a fight, you know, George Foreman and Ron Lyle, that was on ABC TV, free TV on a Saturday. Everything is different. Bruce and I, when we grew up, boxing, great fights and great fighters were on every single weekend. It was in the media. It was on the back page of the Daily News. Big fights. It's a different time. It just is, Bruce. I don't know how you feel.
Oh, there's you know, like the nose on our faces, bro. Back then, every weekend there were major fights on. It wasn't the whole card that was put on by Matchbook or a whole showbox card. Where you know, undercard fights. See, Mark loves up and coming boxers. He's not like your average boxing fan. This man is got a boxing glove where the brain should be in the head. He'll watch a whole card, and he'll know these fighters. He'll know who they fought before. We're seeing them in 4-rounders. He'll tell you their amateur career. But the Joe Schmo fan, they're not like that. They're impatient. They want to see the main event. And back in the day, we didn't have to wait through the undercard. It was like you turn on CBS, and there's Matthew Saad Mohammed and Victor Galendez. I mean, you know, it was just giving us filet mignon on a weekly basis. And now it's almost like they're giving us bologna sandwiches and charging us more than they charge us for filet mignon. And that's my only gripe, man. You know, I just don't have the patience to sit through all these cards, wait for a mediocre main event. You know, because where I came from, you didn't have to sit through the mediocre undercards. If the main event was great, they'd have like George used to do 24/7s. They'd have a pre-fight show where they show the main event fighters, you know, where they're from, who they fought last. It just made it all so interesting, but so compact. Because to me today it's just too spread out. It's quantity over quality.
Yeah, and it's not to shit on today's fighters, because I love boxing now. I love boxing when I was growing up. I love it now. There's some people who get stuck in their generation, and all they want to talk about is, oh, back in my day, this guy would have knocked out that guy. There's great fighters out there now. Everything's packaged differently, though. And not a lot of people like the way fights are packaged, the way fighters avoid each other. And that is true. There is some major talent in boxing today. There's no doubt there's some great fighters, but there's a lot of guys avoiding each other, and the politics is more prominent than ever, and keeping guys on this side of the street, not that side of the street. So that's what I hate. I mean, there's some great fighters today. I just wish that they would do great matchups more often.
Well, that's a great comment, because I do feel consistency in terms of marquee events is gone completely askew.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like I was born in '93. I'm 28, so I feel I was kind of a bit fortunate, because I did catch like the end of the '90s, the early to mid 2000s. So I saw the Morales, Barreras. I seen Castillo, Corrales. I seen a lot of like really exciting things, and I felt as though I was in an era where there were greats with Pacquiao and Marquez and Barrera, Morales and Floyd and Mosley and Oscar. There were greats. Like, to me, they were great fighters. Yep. They fought consistently enough to where I knew who they were consistently enough. Yep. And today, like, I follow this sport excessively close. I have done most of my life. I know how hard it would be for a fan, because let's say in 1999, in November, that's the last time we had two champions unified to become undisputed in the heavyweight division. So for 22 years, we've had no Super Bowl final.
Yep.
Now, packaging is one thing, but nothing coming out of the wrapper is another.
It's terrible.
For me. Just for me, because if I turn around and ask a guy who is the champion in the division,
No,
In the 80s, if I said middleweight, I would get Marvin Hagler. Today, I'll get Demetrius Andrade, Murata Golovkin, and Charlo and Andrade. And
that's the problem.
I'll get a regular. And you can't give a person that answer.
You won't even get those fights you're talking about because the powers that be don't want to interact and do business with each other, let alone the WBA, the WBC, the IBF, and the WBO. It's not like we're going to have a Super Bowl because the NFC and the AFC are going to declare one champion. These organizations, who's the middleweight champion, whoever they say the middleweight champion is, and we buy that shit. We're the ones who are to blame for not having these champions fight each other. I'm not even going to say title unifications because they should be big enough to say, the hell with this belt. I'm going for the best fighter in the division. I go back to Larry Holmes, man. Never unified, never undisputed, but always for 7 years. Who was the baddest heavyweight on the earth, man?
Yeah.
Now that was Larry Holmes.
Hey, so Mark,
thoughts. Shout out to Ireland, right, Mark? Great live today, man.
Mark, you're from Ireland, right?
Yeah, I'm from Dublin.
So you know what? When I was a kid, I remember Barry McGuigan.
Yeah.
Who was a featherweight. He was so big, and I can remember watching him with my family, which my family didn't watch fights very often, but we watched him dethrone a longtime featherweight champion named Eusebio Pedrosa.
Yeah.
And man, that was I was a big McGuigan fan. I remember he lost to Stevie Cruz, and I was shocked that he lost. But
amazing fight, by the way. If anyone's never seen it, McGuigan Cruz, one of the greatest featherweight fights you'll see.
But McGuigan was like one of those stars that fought on the weekends, and I remember him well fighting. Especially Pedrosa was a long-time champ, not a very popular champ, but Barry McGuigan. He came in and he took care of business. I remember him well, and I've got some Irish in me too, so. I always try to shout out to the Irish boxers.
Didn't Pedrosa have to go overseas for that fight?
He did. I believe he did. I think he fought over there. I believe.
Yeah, because Pedrosa, he was a dirty fighter. I remember they were trying to, all the way back when Danny Little Red Lopez was the champion. They were trying to unify the titles there. And for some reason, Pedrosa it just never worked out until Barry McGuigan, who was almost like a media creation, bro. Great fighter, but man, he was pushed. Was it CBS that was really riding Barry McGuigan?
I think it was CBS, but he was skilled. They definitely got behind him. Because he had a great story with all the conflict that was going on in Ireland. But he was a talented fighter. Like he was a really good fighter.
To me, I feel like, just from my own perspective being from here, I feel part of the reason Barry kind of like cultivated the following that he did overseas, in England, etc., was because whenever he fought in Ireland, there was actually peace.
Right.
And you hadn't seen that in 70 years. There was peace when he was fighting. It didn't matter if you were North, if you were South, didn't matter if you were Protestant or Catholic, the troubles were stopped for that one night. Like, he actually quelled war. Like actual civil war. He quelled it for one night every time he fought, which is scary in and of itself.
Yes.
Scary.
And he was big. He was a big fighter back then. Bruce, I remember I was a fan of his. That's why the storytelling in boxing is so important, because they got the good stories out. They told Barry's story, and it made people want to see him fight, and it worked because people watched him fight. He got ratings when he fought, and he had talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mark, I remember that whole story well, and he was man, what a fighter! What a fighter!
The whole era back then, but like Mark was saying, I don't know why the young fans today. Well, I do know why, and I think the reason why boxing isn't attracting the young fans, I think it's because it's oversaturated with mediocre fights and the free fights that they don't exist. They want to try.
There's no such thing as free fights. There's no such thing as free TV anymore. So that, like, a lot of people can't relate to that because everything costs money. There's no such thing as free TV. there is a lot more to watch now, Bruce, than when we grew up, because we had cable, but now with MMA, and you can just watch. There's a lot more to watch nowadays. So I know you don't like to see all those fights. I don't. I pay attention to the ones I want to see, and I don't mind it so much when like a DAZN will show the preliminary fights. But you're right. If you're sitting in front of the TV or your phone, it's like 4 hours, over 4 hours sometimes, and that's like a pay-per-view. It's tough. It's a long night or a long day.
For us, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. I'll watch those fights for a Saturday. That I'll turn that. I'll get in on the zone card, and I'll watch it till the main event at 5. But if they want to cultivate a new audience, if they want to get young viewers to tune in, they need to go back to a sponsorship kind of a format where they can show these fights on. I know there's no free TV, but maybe on Fox or even on if HBO could resurrect itself, brother.
You never say never. Maybe HBO will do a fight 10 years after they've been off the air. You never know. But HBO will never be what it was. It was something special. Maybe they'll do a jump off. Maybe they'll do a one-off here and there. I don't know. And it would be a novelty, and it would probably get viewers. But it will never. I don't even want to start talking about HBO now, because we went down to Bobby Chacon, and then we can go down to HBO, and we can be on it, talking till midnight. But yeah, HBO. Who knows? Maybe one day they'll do a fight, but I doubt it.
My point was, they need a platform to show these fighters, so a new generation will start riding the Charlos. We got that big unification fight, the undisputed fight coming up, Charlo and Castano. But the problem is, people don't, aside from the hardcore boxing fan, the general public has no idea who Jamal Charlo is.
Yeah, you're right, but still, these guys are making good money. They have contracts. They're making money. It doesn't die, even though people say there's no crowd and people aren't watching. Some people are watching because Jamel Charlo has made good money. No, we're not talking about Floyd money or Pacquiao money, but these guys are still the upper echelon fighters are still making decent purses, even though everyone thinks that boxing is dead. It'll never die. It'll never ever die. Hey, why doesn't Khan Shawnery ever come on here? Does he jump on ever? Khan?
No, I've never heard Khan Shawnery, but a lot of people don't do that, and that's cool, because I didn't do it for years and years and years. And finally I got the technology and the nerve to do it, but. I drop my links out here. If anybody wants to come on, they're more than welcome. I haven't been invaded yet. I haven't had any bad experiences by doing that. Some guys say, I don't drop your link, but we just got a few people here. And, anybody, Con Shawnery, St. Cruz, and Derek Bailey, anybody out there that wants to come on and speak with us, bro.
John McSmith is angry because he said, I have an antenna, cost me $20. I get 23 free channels, so keep lying about no free TV. Okay, fine. You get 23 channels. All right, sorry that there is such a thing as free TV. I don't know if you can get any fights, because we're talking boxing here. If you can get boxing on those 23 free channels, that's great. Put a link in there, because I'd like to see it free, but everything else costs money. DAZN costs money. ESPN Plus costs money. What doesn't cost money? You get 23 free channels. John McSmith, we're talking about boxing. If we can see free boxing, let me see it. ESPN costs money because it's a cable subscription. So, John McSmith likes to see. That's why I see people say don't respond to these things. Like, no one's lying about no free TV. We're just saying that it's not. There's not really a lot of free TV and free fights. There's really no such thing as a free fight.
Well, see, George, with me, I have a basic internet connection. I don't have television. I don't have cable TV. I can watch the news channels that I like to watch in the morning, the local news channels. I mean, I'm not tech savvy at all, bro. but I can get every fight in. You know, and if I can't get it, I know people out there. I can drop them a link. Say, hey, bro, can you any link for the fights? Everything's available these days. If you know how to click the right links, man, and they give them to you in 5G quality. I mean, razor
You know
sharp.
what?
You know what the difference is?
I'm taking these comments off because, yeah, John Smith, you said free TV, not free boxing, so change stories. Okay, you know, if you want to go to the court stenographer, yes, I said free TV, but I was talking about boxing, Mr. McSmith. So we're talking about boxing. So
what's John giving you a hard time out there?
It's fine. It's fine. I misspoke about free TV and free boxing, but
let me say that's not allowed on YouTube, right? Because you have guys who like to nitpick at singular words to make themselves feel good. That's just me. That's my own perspective. I've been doing YouTube and streams and stuff across 3 channels for 7.5, 8 years, so I know what they're like. I know the audience. I know all the guys in the chat right now. Every last one of them.
Yeah.
So I'm giving the man a hard time because he said there's no free TV, right?
Well,
look, like you say, you bought an antenna for $20. Was your antenna free? No, it wasn't free. If you want to get that specific on it, if you want to get specific and you're talking about streaming, now if you're streaming something, you're using an internet connection, you're not actually using television connection specifically to do that. That is not free TV. Once again, then again, your internet does cost money. It is not free.
Yeah.
If you want to get that specific, fellas, come on.
You know, what we were talking about is back in the day, there were only 3 freaking networks, man. You had CBS, NBC, and ABC. You plugged your television into the wall, and you put out the rabbit ears. And, you know, it wasn't free. You had to buy a TV.
That's all the cost was. It was a TV.
That's it.
Hey, John McSmith, I'm not trying to win. It's good. It's good. But yeah, you're
right. John's all. I see John out here. John's all love, bro.
Yeah. But you're right. It just the cost of your TV. Your TV cost money, and then you know you had your antenna and whatever.
That was it.
That was it.
No, not even your antenna. The TVs pretty much came with them because there were only 3 networks, and they were local.
Yeah, I don't really remember. I don't really because I was pretty young when we got cable, so I don't remember. I remember antennas on the roof, but I don't remember who put them there. Like I don't.
Are you two gents familiar? Because we have something over here called a TV license. Is that a thing in America? It's a TV license? Yeah, so if you have a TV, consider it like every year you have to pay, like, I have to pay €105 to have like it's called a media license now. It used to be the TV license. So if you have a laptop, if you have an iPad, if you have a TV, anything that can access that, licensing fee is here in Ireland and in England. In England, it's used to support the BBC. And in Ireland, it's used for RTE, Radio Television, supposedly.
No, we don't have that.
Yeah.
No.
So that's an excess cost over here.
Like but you still have the monthly cost for internet. You said that's just an excess cost, right?
Yeah, that's just an excess cost to be able to have, like, because if they show up, but they can technically fine you money if you don't have a license, and it can be up to like €1,500 here, which is about $1,600 if you don't have that license, and the license costs $105 a year. So the way I look at it is, for every decade, I have to spend $1,000 just to be able to have a phone in my house because it has a screen on it.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that, Mark.
Yeah, it's some bullshit, man.
Yeah.
Bro, I go back to the day where I can remember black and white televisions. When people had a color TV, that's when you had to go to like the neighborhood bar and you could watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Or Fight, bro. And that was a rare thing. And then all of a sudden, instead of just 2 channels, you got 4 channels. And then they had UHF, but there was no cable TV. That came out around here in like '83. I remember the day because it was like, I'm going to get ESPN boxing, Friday night fights, USA. I mean, it was just a plethora. Even they'd even show like some cards on. They had like a MSG, Madison Square Garden Network.
Yeah, I remember MSG.
And they would show like fights from the Felt Forum, and even old MSG footage they had, Madison Square Garden fights they had in their vault. But it pretty much was boxing and wrestling. and it was the birth of starting to pay for television. You know, because even like they were saying, it's only $1 a day, and you're going to get like 100 channels. But man, that $1 a day sure changed really, really fast, though, didn't it?
John McSmith, I think he said he was from Canada. He said he has a 9-inch square plastic antenna that's taped to the window. Everyone around here has them. I think he said he was from Canada. So
my brother actually has one of those too. He lives on in another town over. He doesn't have cable. He has one of those. They sell them on TV. There's supposed to be so many broadcast channels out there. The FCC says there has to be these over-the-air channels, and with this antenna, you can get them with a decent location. I know what he's talking about, and they're I don't know. I saw them mostly news channels, Chicago. A lot of the old westerns and stuff like that, and comedy channels and shit. But if you want to watch fights today,
John is outside of Chicago.
Our premises here was it's going to cost you a lot of money if you're going to do it the way they want you to do it. It'd be impossible.
John is outside of Chicago. He's not in Canada. Chicago, they have the undisputed welterweight champion of the world, Jessica McCaskill. She's Chicago. Have you seen her fight, Bruce?
Yeah, I have. You know, I'm a newbie as far as women's boxing goes.
There's some great fighters. There's some really good fighters.
No. Let me finish here. I'd say maybe until 3-4 years ago, and I watched Layla Ali, and I watched the coal miner's daughter. You know, I watched women's boxing happen, and it was rough to watch at first because they were marginally talented, and they were hurting each other, splats. I mean, it was tough to see these pretty faces get busted up, and I just didn't have the stomach for it. But now they're a different breed. Now you can see them
is bigger now.
Oh, and they're second generation fighters. They're developed. I mean, they're gym ready warriors. It's a whole different entertainment now. So now I'm a fan of women's boxing, and Jessica McCaskill.
I love watching her fight.
Oh,
love it.
Can I say something on Jessica myself?
Yeah.
The best decision of her career she ever made, in my opinion, was to move up in weight. Because when she added that little bit more, her volume went up, her ability to fight in the pocket, even her resistance. Because like when she fought against Katie, Katie's light, right? That was a very close fight. As someone from Ireland, I even thought Jessica may have had a fair shot at winning that fight. To be honest, Katie's had a few rub of the greens. Personally speaking, I think she's had 4 or 5 rub of the green fights. Yeah. But Jessica, her performance against Cecilia. The first fight, and then the second fight to back it up and solidify herself, she really stamped authority in her career. And she doesn't, like, everyone talks Katie and Clarissa, and I know that in lower down and weight, McCaskill, she lost Katie on the cards, whatever way you want to slice it. But the girl everyone talks Serrano, but nobody really talks about her in that pound for pound conversation. Those 2 wins over Cecilia Brækhus, in my opinion, currently are the 2 best wins in women's boxing right now. 2 days. 2 days.
I agree.
She deserves more credit.
She was a huge underdog too, because Brækhus was. A lot of people thought she was her. You know, her and Clarissa were the top fighters in the game for women's boxing, and I love to watch Jessica McCaskill fight, and you're right, when she went up in weight, everything about her improved. She's got a good trainer, Rick Ramos.
Yes,
and I love seeing her fight. I would love to see if now I don't know if it'll happen, but supposedly, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano are going to fight in the garden. In the garden, but I think Jessica, there would probably have to be a catch weight because Jessica's a little bigger than them. But you know, if you're talking about a money fight, I'm sure Jessica will make that work. Bruce, you know how it is. Fighters, if there's big money and they have to drop some weight or find a catch weight, they'll do it.
The other one I could see happening is because she has made the weight before. I could see Jessica and Clarissa fighting each other at 154.
Ooh.
I could, but I don't think Clarissa would take the fight. Personally, I don't think she'd take that fight because I think she feels as though like Jessica's too good to cut that much weight. No, to cut that much weight to fight against. This is my own perspective. right?
Right.
So
Well,
like she would find it a harder task at 154 fighting someone of Jessica's caliber. But then again, the added weight could hinder Jessica as well.
I think it would, because she's very she's not tall. She's not a tall fighter, and she's also Jessica McCaskill's 35.
She ain't young. She's not young.
She's not
even
young.
though she doesn't look in her mid 30s. She doesn't. She looks like she looks roughly my age. I think she looks 27, 28. She doesn't look in her late 30s, mid 30s. But she's a fantastic fighter, man.
Sorry, Bruce. I didn't mean to I got sidetracked because John said he's from Chicago, and I just thought of Jessica McCaskill. So.
Oh no, John said he's from north of Toronto. Didn't he?
No, that Con is north.
Oh, Con. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I was getting Con and John mixed up.
There we go.
That's what happened.
Okay.
So, yeah. Con's in
Con said it was like minus 25 degrees where he's living.
Since I didn't know that you watched the women's boxing as well. Since you do, I want to ask you this because over here, Sky are really hyping this. Sky Sports are. So I'm wondering what your thoughts on the idea of a potential Clarissa Shields Savannah Marshall fight in the program. We know the amateur story. I think it's a tremendous fight. I really do.
I mean that's what they're building up. I think Clarissa signed a contract with a promotional company, or maybe not a promotional company, but she signed a big contract
with Sky Sport. With Sky Sports.
Okay. So I believe they both have fights coming up. I know Clarissa does, and they're trying to make that fight, the Clarissa Shields Savannah Marshall fight, because the storyline. She's the only person to beat Clarissa in a boxing ring, and she beat her in the amateurs, which was a long time ago.
Decisively.
Which was a long time ago, and Clarissa was a lot younger. I can't wait to see the fight. I like Clarissa, so I'm backing Clarissa, but that's a big fight.
I like both girls. Just for me, I feel like Savannah has one thing you don't see a lot in women's boxing. She really has that power. Like, she has serious punching power, and you can hear those shots connect on. Like, it's not about like that she's hurting girls or what level they are. When you hear a shot like thud up with somebody on like video, and it's like thudding, and you can hear the echo come off of a girl's skull, you know that woman hits. You know she hits.
Yes. So, hey, Mark, had you ever seen the Foreman Lyle fight that Bruce played before? Had you ever seen that fight?
Who's Foreman?
George Foreman and Ron Lyle.
I never heard of them.
Okay,
I'm joking. Don't fall for the bait. Don't fall for the bait. No, I've seen it. Ring Magazine Fight of the Year for 1976. No, I was brought up by three different historians, man. My great grandfather, my grandfather, and my dad were all historians. That's so awesome. When I was like 5 years old, like my introductory to boxing was Leonard versus Duran, the trilogy. That because my dad and my granddad used to argue over who was greater between the two of them. Oh, man. But my great grandfather passed away now. He was fortunate enough to see one fight live. A long time ago between the great Harry Greb and Allentown Joe Gans in what was one of Harry Greb's last ever fights. So he was one of the last people possibly alive to have ever seen him. So I heard all those stories growing up. I heard about Tommy Locke, Langford.
I wish I could have hung out at your house. Right.
It was a task. It was a task as a kid because like I wanted to watch other shit, but all I could watch was boxing. That's all I was allowed to watch.
Yes, I love your house. I love your house. Bruce and I would have been at home in your house.
I was at home there last night. Mark was telling me about the night the fight we were just talking about earlier when George Foreman knocked out Michael Mora.
Oh yeah, let me tell you the story. So I'm a year and a half old, right? I'm in bed, right? I'm asleep.
Wait, you don't remember this?
No, I don't remember. This is what my dad and my granddad kept telling me my whole life. Because my dad never let me live this down. Because I ruined this fight for him. So it gets to round 8. They hear me crying upstairs. It's round 8. Mora versus Foreman. Mora's winning the fight. It's comfortable,
Yep.
right? My dad goes up. I'm covered in shit, man. Like, I had this big, massive dump all down my legs. My dad starts cleaning me up just before round 9 starts. Round 10 goes into it. He hears those two screaming. My dad comes running down, covered in my shit. He missed the moment. He missed the moment. Foreman became lineal 20 years later. So he never let me live it down. Not a day in my life.
Mad Chad said that's a shitty story. That's pretty funny, Mad Chad.
It's literally a shit
It is
story.
literally, that is what it is. That's an awesome story. Oh man.
So my biggest claim to fame is I took away one of my dad's biggest moments he could have watched. Because my dad was born in 71. So he missed live. He didn't see Ali Foreman live or anything. So that would have been like to him the big moment. He wasn't around for the listeners. Seeing George though become a champion 2 decades later, that would have been huge for my dad. Huge. And he missed that moment.
Well, you know what? Buddy had a bonding moment with you, his son, and he loves his son, and he chose taking care of his son over watching history. So
he called me a shithead for he called me a shitty fuck for 26 years.
Oh man, your dad is a funny dude, man.
Don't blame him. He still took me to my first ever boxing match, you know. Still took me to my very first one. I was a huge Ricky Hatton fan as a kid.
Okay.
I was there when he became champ. I was there. So that was my biggest moment for me as a fan, was seeing my childhood hero beat Costa Zoo. The great Costa Zoo.
He beat him down.
Hey,
He retired him.
We got a special guest that just jumped on the panel, man. My brother, Random Acoustic Thoughts.
Acoustic Thoughts.
Random Acoustic Thoughts. Don't slap me, bro, but Random Acoustic Thoughts is a bit of a story in himself. You go check out his channel, man. He talks about Joe Gaines. He talks about Jack Johnson. He talks about the fighters that I can't even remember. I'm entertained every time I go over there, and he's blessing me with a visit tonight, man. Shout out to you, Random Acoustic Thoughts.
Hey, thanks, fellas. Yeah, my connection is terrible, I'm afraid, right now. I was in the waiting room, in and out of it, it was just crazy. But I want to jump on and say, what's up, Mark?
Hey, how's it going, man? How are you? He comes on to greet me instead of Bruce and George.
That's awesome. I love it, man.
Kindy, man. How are you, Random?
I'm gonna have to get a better connection and jump back on. You sound like Darlix. That's an old reference there, Doc 2 reference. Yeah, man, it's ugly right now. I'm gonna jump back on.
Okay.
For sure, brother, for sure.
Oh, dude, you sound like R2D2. I'll be back.
That's actually awesome. I'd love to sound like R2D2, man.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's a compliment if you sound like R2D2.
I'd rather sound like him than C3PO.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's a great story. I mean, I just remember I said before, just watching that fight with my best friend, and when that moment happened, you'll never forget. I'll never forget where I was and the call of that fight, and Jim Lampley saying it happened, and it was exhilarating, man. It was truly a great moment. Just the whole storyline, 20 years after he lost the heavyweight championship, everything about it was like a movie. It was like a movie that came true. Everything about that night.
And to this day, because of that moment, it's considered the greatest Indian summer in boxing history.
Yeah,
the greatest comeback. It really is.
What a night. And Bruce, did you say you were working that night when Foreman knocked out Moore?
No. I was working the next day. I was home that night. I saw the whole thing on HBO, man.
Okay.
Oh, and you're gonna probably slap me when I say this. It's been 7 years, so I'm not breaking the law anymore. But I had what they call a black box back in those days. So we got free HBO, free Showtime, free Cinemax, free pay-per-view. Whatever came through, it was decoded in these things, and they were made right down the street from me, Raytheon Technologies. These guys who would make bombs during the day, when the boss stepped out, they put together these black boxes to unscramble cable signals.
Yeah.
And I was afraid to get one. and oh, come on, man, $50. And if they change the signal, we'll come over your house and we'll rearrange it for you. I begrudgingly gave in. I spent the $50, and damn, I think that's probably the best $50 I ever spent in my life.
Yeah.
I never missed a fight. And I've been blue collar all my life. You know, I wasn't poor, but I had a lot of brothers and sisters. And you know, money wasn't a big crop, but you know, it still isn't. And paying for all the fights that any boxing head wants to watch today would be impossible. Even back then, you know, it was hard to do. But anyway, man, I never missed any of those fights. Yeah, and I watched George Foreman and Michael Mora, and bro, I jumped through the ceiling.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one.
Yeah. Yeah.
When George sunk to his knees in his corner after that knockout, and thank God. Oh, bro. And those were the trunks he had on when Muhammad Ali beat him. That's what I was saying that earlier.
You know what's crazy now? And Mark, you might, I don't know how this is over in Ireland, but now, you know, if you have a Fire Stick, there's ways to subscribe to companies and you can see all the pay-per-views.
Oh, don't let Mark kid you. Mark doesn't miss any pay-per-views.
But you don't have to miss them with, like, there's people that don't pay for pay-per-views anywhere. Don't pay for DAZN. They don't pay for any fights because
that would be me.
They see them, and it's, you know, some people really get, I think the boxing establishment gets mad because they say you're not supporting the fighters, but who wants to pay $70, $80 to see Keith Thurman and Mario Barrios?
The better question is Charles Martin versus Luis Ortiz. That's an even better question.
Well, you know, that was a discount though. No, that was a deal. That was a discount. It was only $40, which is it's crazy.
If that's $40 too many,
exactly.
You might get $10 out of me for Thurman Barrios. You might want to refund me $10 for Charles Martin, Luis Ortiz.
Right.
Just saying.
I agree. Randall's back.
Yo, I'm back, fellas. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem, bro. Hey, let me welcome you in here. You had a great live today, man. You are definitely a historian. I was learning facts and listening to gems you were dropping in there, bro. Good shit, bro. You know, you keep it real. You keep it simple. Shout out to Random Acoustic Thoughts, man. He needs more subs. Anybody here who's not subbed to Random Acoustic Thoughts, and you want to get educated without being talked down to from a real brother, man, sub to Random Acoustic Thoughts or get out of here.
Thanks, Bruce. You're the best, man. Checks in the mail. Yeah, no drama on the channel. You know, it's just talking old school fights and just talking about the research I'm doing. But I'm definitely no historian. But I was
just
lucky
subscribed to Random Acoustic Thoughts.
Oh, you're the greatest. See, Bruce, you spread the love, man. That's why I came. I don't really go to many lives. So I don't want to hear people argue. I mean, I can.
Right.
The voices in my head can argue plenty. I want some tranquility, and I like your vibe, man. You got one of the better channels. So I wanted to come and say hi. And I saw Mark on the chat. I was like, come on now, I got to come in.
Oh, man. My knees started knocking like George Foreman's knees were knocking before he fought Ron Lyle, before he fought Joe Frazier there. I saw Mark coming in. I thought he was going to school us all. And then he came in. He started crashing on George for being part of the new media that's has destroyed boxing today. I said,
hey, no, I didn't trash on him. I didn't trash on him at all. No, there's specific writers. And George isn't one of them. I've seen some of George's work. George is actually a good writer. George does a good job. I'm actually proud of him for what he does.
Yeah, because George goes for the leaf like I do, man. George and I are brothers over here, bro.
George does great work with what he does. Look, I'll say.
Don't take anything I say personally, will you?
No, I want to say this. My biggest.
Over there, I'll block everybody on there, bro.
No, listen. My biggest gripe, Bruce. My biggest gripe with boxing media today. A lot of it comes down to everybody's recycling 2 or 3 journalists. There's not a lot of individuality anymore. So, for example, you've Benson, you've Coppinger. If you notice, all of their tweets are recycled from other people. All of their stuff is recycled from other people. I'm sorry, George, if I'm saying something that I shouldn't say, right?
No.
But I do feel there are guys out there who I look at as charlatans, not real writers, not real boxing fans. And I think some of them make their way into the field and they get a bit of a following or whatever, and then they get onto panels, like they get to be on panels for pound lists, and then you see egregious situations like for rankings of fighters being elevated above guys who've proven what they've done in their careers. I'll give an example, right? And some people will agree with me and some won't. But from my perspective, I think this is one of the worst decisions I've ever seen Ring Magazine specifically do. In their pound for pound ratings, I can't figure this one out. When Errol Spence beat Kell Brook, they injected him at number 7 in the pound for pound list, above Sarah Scatsaw Rung Visai. But at the time, Rung Visai was coming off of 2 back-to-back wins and a dominant knockout win over the man they called number 1 pound for pound. At the same time, Kell Brook wasn't on their list, so I felt that was completely out of the realms of anything that made sense. It doesn't make sense. If your number 1 pound for pound fighter loses twice back to back, and you put the guy in at number 9 and then move him to number 8, but one fighter comes in and gets a win over a guy you don't have ranked there, he's not even your ranked number 1 divisionally at the time, ranked number 2 Cal was, and then you put him over that guy. We recently seen Ioka only enter the list at number 10. 4-weight world champion, unified at minimum, and then you have other guys who've made that list coming in at number 6 off of 1 win, being one unified champion win, only beating 1 champion. When you have a guy who's 17-2 in world title fights with 70 wins over top 10 rated opponents across 4 weight divisions, it doesn't add up. So I feel like the democracy view that they have there could work if they had enough boxing fans in there who watch those guys fight across all the weight divisions, but they don't. And that's my biggest gripe.
I don't care about those. Like, it's all subjective anyway, so I don't put too much stock in the pound for pound rankings. I don't put too much stock in the rankings because then you start talking about the boxing organizations and how corrupt they are. But look, man, I think you should get a job at Ring Magazine and help them with the pound for pound rankings. You know, I really, that's all subjective because you're right. You could pick them apart and say, why isn't this guy in? Why isn't that guy in? And I agree with all your points. So I do know the editor of Ring Magazine, and I can put you in touch with him. And
I know Douglas as well.
You can help them. So
no, Douglas is not a big fan of me because I said something maybe he wasn't too thrilled about.
Really? Well, you know,
I can tell you what it was.
Before you say that, here's the problem. Everyone thinks they're a boxing. Not everyone, but if the people that think they know everything about boxing, they very rarely want to hear someone who has a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying Doug is like that, but Doug does know a lot about boxing. So
yes, he does.
You know, he definitely does. But you have to be, I don't know. Listen to other people.
I said something that was a direct insult to him. It was a direct insult to him because I said under his editorship, his leadership, the Bible of boxing has become the pamphlet of boxing.
I can see why he got upset, you know.
It's dropped dramatically over the last 10 years. Ring Magazine's work is not the best anymore. It was for a very long time. I've got hundreds of Ring Magazine. I read through. I have my dad's collection, my granddad's collection, my great grandfather. I know when it was founded. I know the first champions. I know like Rosenblum, the first light heavyweight champion in Ring Magazine and stuff like that. I know all of this stuff. I've seen the issues, the inundated mentions of pound for pound predating Robinson and predating Armstrong that they had in 26 and 27. And nowadays, people are just conglomerating viewpoints that they heard one person say for years and years, and they think that's the end all be all without actually seeing the work that was put in there. And a guy like Douglas is a legit amazing boxing brain. He's brilliant, but he needs to me, filter out some of the weeds there because there's so much weed whacking he needs to do because it's bringing down the work and value of that reputable magazine.
Well,
because they kick out 10 people out of that stuff, and they try and get people, and they work at it for a bit. They could get it back to where it used to be, because it is a gripe to me, because it was the Bible of boxing. It's not no more.
I stopped, and this is no knock on Ring, but I stopped reading Ring magazine a long time ago. I don't know if Oscar De La Hoya still. I know at one point he owned it. I don't know if he owns it anymore, but I remember when Oscar bought Ring, I said, "Wait a second, he's a promoter, and he's buying Ring magazine. Isn't he going to have some influence on what's in there?" So
feels like a conflict of interest.
I used to love Ring. I used to love Ring magazine, and I'll be honest, it's been a long time, so I can't remember the last time I bought Ring magazine.
Same here. You know, when it became Ring.com, they lost me.
Yeah. So
and it's too bad, because the reason I have some of these, amusing stories is because of that hard copy. I could take that with me to work. When we had a coffee break, I could read one of those articles and read it again, and bro, and I remember those names. I'd go to the ratings. I'd see these guys on weekends, and it was like it's stuck in the brain. Where today, you'll see it on the screen, then you'll go somewhere else, and it's not like you have it on hard copy,
right?
Sitting in the bathroom shelf, or on the coffee table, and that's to me that's caused a lot of it's caused us the simplification of boxing.
Hey Bruce, I gotta jump off. Sorry, my daughter's getting ready to go to bed, so I'm gonna.
George, man, 2 hours, bro.
But I love it, Bruce. I love it. Mark, Random, and John McSmith, and everyone. Like, this is fun, man. Like,
bro,
we have to do this more.
God bless,
brother. You great show once here, man. I'll be in touch, my brother. Peace and thank you so much.
All right, fellas. Have a good
and
night.
Everybody out there, man.
You too, man.
Sure
God bless, man.
Jakovic on YouTube, man.
Thank you, brother. All right, guys.
Peace. Cool stuff, man. George is a nice guy. I thought about this tonight. I was going to come on and do it by myself, and then I gave George a text, and he said, "Yeah, when you do it." I said, "I think I'm on right now," and I was playing a little bit of Jerry Jeff Walker before I started, and man, what a cool guy! So much knowledge, almost as much as you, Mark. But the guy lived the HBO life. Knew Manny Pacquiao, knew George Foreman, knew all those cats from.
Dude, I'll say this. He has knowledge about certain things I have zero knowledge in at all.
Oh, yeah.
Zero knowledge. Like privy shit, production stuff, quality, what goes into running shows, how things work. Like, I don't know how that works. Like, that's real fucking in-game knowledge. Like, so and then he knows the fights, he knows the fighters. Like, dude's a great guy.
As a guest, basically.
No, the first live you did with him, I listened to it, Bruce. Like, I was at work, like I actually am right now, being lazy. But I was listening to it, and it got me through like a solid 2 hours, 20 minutes of work, and it was just so enjoyable to listen to you and him have those conversations, because it wasn't what you normally get. There was no ego pushing like you see from some guys. There was no filtered down shit. Nothing's watered down. It's just actual point of view, genuine opinion, conversation, thoughts, insight. It's just great. It's just great to listen to.
To Box Rec. George is cool with that. George is good with the technology. But bro, even when I write things down, I can't read them when I'm looking at them. So everything I say is from this really becoming kind of a slowed down memory that I have. I take the Cognitum. It's this silk protein supposed to improve brain functions. Does it do it? I don't know, man. As long as I don't make a fool out of myself on here, and I can bring guys like George on here to really, man, not only picks up the slack, bro, but he takes the helm. You know what I'm saying, man?
Absolutely, great guy to listen to, and plus.
I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead.
Plus, with yourself, it just makes for like a very nice mesh You know, very nice mesh. It's like very relaxing. It's therapeutic, but it's insightful and thoughtful. It's different. It's very different. I don't think we have much like that around here anymore.
No, that's what I want to do on here, bro. Like that fucking crazy. Instead of just changing my name, now I can't see when anybody asks me anymore because I guess nobody wants to type Bruce Goes Boxing and Jazz. With me, it's just like the first two letters, and you got the whole thing in red. But I don't see people shouting me out anymore. I hope they don't think I'm a fucking jerk because believe me, I just can't. It doesn't come in at me. It doesn't at me in red anymore. But since I did that. But that says what I want to do on here. I want to talk about boxing like we're doing tonight, but I also want to do shows. We'll talk about some wrestling, which I want to do. Like that's going to be my next one. Talk some pro wrestling, and I love the jazz, man. I did a couple on that, and the nutrition and health. I'm big on that, bro. I mean, I'm gonna do a show on that with the next few days, and I'm gonna just unload all the supplements I take, all the pharmaceuticals that I'm prescribed, and I'm gonna do a quick live with that. And my favorite, bro. I mean, shit. What makes Bruce go round over here, bro?
KY jelly.
Ah, shit. Nah.
The fucking bud, bro.
That's it, my bro. That's it, man. And not just that, but you, Random Acoustic Thoughts. Everybody out there that stopped in to say hi to me tonight, bro. I mean, really, man. I really can't thank you enough because it's 9:30 on a Monday night, and I don't know where the fuck I would be if I wasn't here, bro. Who knows, man? Maybe on some porn site, maybe on some a live boxing, probably even worse. Some stream, maybe the Unrivaled would have one tonight. I don't know, man. I'd get hacked into it like I did last night, and I'd have so much fun that I go to bed late, but it's a pleasure. People stop in to see me over here, man. We spread the love, and I'm talking too much. Random Acoustic, why don't you tell us a few things, bro? You haven't had the spotlight over here, man. Pleasure to have you on here.
Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah, I'm just chilling, man. I'm just listening to you guys. I'm still at the stage in my fandom where I'm learning. I mean, I'm studying really hard, a very narrow aspect of the sport's history, and the rest I'm just soaking in and learning. So I've seen some stuff, but nothing heavy. So, and Mark, I should give him a big shout because how long ago was it, Mark, when we had that long conversation? Is it a year? No, maybe March, April, something. I don't know. He had a long conversation.
About 10, 11 months ago.
Yeah, and I learned so much, and he's even teaching me some stuff about some music I needed to check out, which is a real bonus. That's the first love of my life. So yeah, good looks, Mark. That was a great conversation. And we're doing if I can do a quick shout out, Bruce.
Absolutely.
So, on BL's live stream, you saw, I just want to tell the chat if that's cool, that so Scrapbook Boxing, Hardline Boxing, and myself, we're going to do a countdown of the 5 toughest seasons of Harry Grebb's career, which is going to be crazy and really hard to figure out. And Mark, that's something you should do. I don't know if you have a list of his 5 hardest seasons.
I have a list that's hard as
well. You're going to have to do me a favor, Random. BL doesn't like me anymore, bro. I don't know why, man. It's all love with me. I guess he doesn't like some of the sites I go to, but he blocked me on there, and then he ignores it when I make comments to him. So if you do see him, bro, tell him it's all love over here, man.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that.
On my side, man. Nothing but mad love, man. I learned so much off him, and he motivated me in his chat when there were very few moderators. In fact, Mark was in there. It took him almost a whole show to do it. But all of a sudden, I just became persona non grata. Tell him nothing on my end, bro.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, I'll pass that along.
So, yeah, salute to Punch Smollett out there. Salute to my sister. This speech is better. OG with it. All right, man. I mean, people are still coming in here. Paulo, another cool cat out there. The craziest voice on YouTube, bro. You ever talk to Paulo out there, Random or Mark?
Mark, if you mean this Mark we're on with now, yeah, but I'm not sure about Paulo. I'm really terrible with names, to be honest.
Yeah, me too, man. Oh.
So just the thing I need to do is go study boxing history. These thousands of names, guys taking other guys' names in tribute or imitation. Yeah, it's a great thing for a guy who can't hardly remember people's names around him. Well, such is life.
I'm so terrible with names. That's why I could never be a historian, because of all those names, man. Oh, I'm trying to keep George Dixon in my head, and then I'll forget it. It's just really bad. That's why I was saying something earlier. Back, the few historical boxers like I know quite a bit about would be like Joe Louis, because back in the day when you got your Ring magazine, they'd have a special edition that would come out maybe once every maybe twice a year, where they'd feature somebody like Joe Louis or Muhammad Ali, and they'd have a whole cover to cover, nothing but stories about them: earlier career, amateur career, prime career, late in their career. And I remember having one for Joe Louis, and I read the thing cover to cover probably 50 times. It would be in the bathroom with me. I'd bring it to work and pull it out of my pocket when there were breaks, and it just educated me. And if I had that on it would be impossible to have it on the boxes that you guys who rap off. But that's kind of how that's how the little bit of boxing historian got into my life from learning it from the magazines when they'd have the special editions.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've done a combination of things. BL's videos helped a lot. Scrapbooks, the talks he does, and
both of them.
The collection. So between those two guys, I got a good foundation. The FightCity.com, they have a lot of good articles on historical boxing, and I do stuff with them now, as well as what I'm doing on YouTube. And there's some other stuff, like BoxRec. Cyber Boxing Zone is good because it shows all the exhibitions. So some of these guys, you look at their pro record, you're like, they weren't busy. Then you'd be like, oh, snap, you did an exhibition every day for 3 months in a row. 3 rounds in a theater play. That's what you were doing. So it's just interesting. But there's just so much. I can never learn it all. So I'm just enjoying what I can get to. Mark, you know so much, but you're never going to know it all. You just enjoy what you can, right?
So, salute to Scotty out there, World Combat Sports, man. Scotty, I've been here for much longer than I was going to be. I just came out here to do a little thing by myself. Actually, I was going to talk about today's the 48th anniversary of the famous elevator fight, George Foreman and Ron Lyle. And bro, everybody who's all the OGs and people who were around back then. I can't even say everybody because it's dwindling down now. We're kind of a precious few. I just got a text here. Give me a sec here. George Jakovic, bro, I love the shows. Shout out, George, man. Salute and thanks for texting. But anyway, man, I was going to come out and do that by myself. And just before I did it, I shot George a text, and I think I sent out a couple. Man, I sent Mad Chad one and Blood Boxing maybe, but and I was going to do it by myself. But then when George came on and did it with me, and he's like, today's the 48th anniversary, really? And bro, I just knew from I think I might have caught it on a Twitter post somebody was making, and I said, wow. So I said, nobody's done that on YouTube today. It's I don't even think anybody knows about it. So I came on and we showed the fight, and me and George talked about it. And George, like we said, he's got so much of that background knowledge that's information that we're just not privy to, and it was just so much fun. And we're still on over here, Scotty, bro. And it's great you come in here, man. Just passing through. Give me your support, bro. Give me a thumbs up. And peace to you, my brother. And anybody out there, sub to World Combat Sports. He's on almost every day around noontime, my time. Got some great stuff. He speaks it in a low-key manner, and he knows his shit, man. You want to talk about some behind-the-scenes stuff? Listen to World Combat Sports one of these days, bro. Your boxing IQ is going to go up at least a point. Hey, this music I'm playing now, this is just stuff I got from StreamYard. They said this is the stuff you can use for free. And you know me, I usually go out and play some real jazz in the background. I'll play some Miles Davis or Charlie Parker or some of the stuff I love. But I guess that's all trademark stuff now. So you really you can they do something to your videos. You can't get monetized. I don't know, something I get a little warning of, but do not worry and blah 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 blah. But anyway, I'm trying to find out something about this free music, because I'm the kind of a cat, man. I just always like to be bopping when I'm talking. You know, I like the Tokatu, and I like music going on. I wish it was stuff that I was digging more, but yeah, no problem, Scotty, man. Much appreciate you coming here.
Sir, I'm back, by the way, just so you know. Bruce, I wanted to ask, how many subs are you at right now, mate? How many subscribers?
I don't know, man. I think it's about a little more than 350. When I saw it, I blew my mind, bro.
Yeah. I know it might be hard, but could you do me a favor and look into doing something for me? Could you look into getting yourself a PayPal or a Cash App? Because I actually want to support your channel.
Oh, no, bro. Nah.
I really do.
I'm not on here for any kind of money, bro. Really.
No, it's not about being here for any money. I actually, no.
I got plenty of money, bro. I got my reefer. I got my token too. I'll support you, sunshine.
Yo, you old wrinkly bastard. Listen to me for a second. Listen to me for a second, Jed. They're trying to charge me.
I'm mark you. Don't you patronize me, brother.
They're trying to charge me. Well, not me, because I'm not American, but they're trying to charge people $80 for Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios, right? The shows I'm getting on here is worth far more than some of the pay-per-views they're putting on boxing. I'm just saying, that's just from my own perspective, and I'd much rather support, even if it's only a few dollars, $5-6 here or there every once in a while. But like, and I'm sure there's people like that, because some of us like to support channels that we really like.
Shout out to my brother Stormy B, man, over there, man. Always showing love and support over here, man.
Yeah, Bruce, if you got a thing hooked up, brother, I would throw $1 or $2 just as a hello, man, you know? It's like buying someone a beer, man. It's just a nice thing. You could always turn around and send it to someone else. No big thing.
Donated. There's plenty of channels out there that have that capability right now, man. I'm new at this, man.
Yeah, but I don't want to donate to plenty of channels.
It would fuck me up with the IRS, and you know I just don't want to include that in my life. This is an outlet for me. It's not an inlet, bro.
Right, get me a store where I can buy you an ounce of weed then.
Oh, shit.
I could buy it on my card, and you could go and collect it in your fucking name. You didn't think of that one now, did you?
Now you're
free weed, bro. I'm talking this language, a fucking ounce of weed. He's like, oh, wait, what? Did you see his face light up like a Christmas tree, bro?
Yeah, you see? Right in the heartstrings. Look at him. Good man.
Cracking me up over here in rival boxing.
Yeah, you can't fucking combat that free weed.
Hey, Bruce, I want to say thanks for coming by the chat today, man. I appreciate that, because I don't have a lot of subscribers, and it was a small thing, but I had a lot of fun, you know, on its limited scale. It was a good time. I could get used to doing this. That was actually my first solo live chat I've ever done. So
I got somebody back here, bro. Con Shawnery. Hey, man, Con Shawnery. Salute to you, Con Shawnery, bro. I'm excellent, man. Shout out, man. I think this is the first time anybody's seen you anywhere, brother.
Well, I've never done this before. First time. So,
wow.
The guy that brought it out of me is George. He kept calling me. The last show he was calling me, he said, have you ever had Con Shawnery on? So I thought I may as well try it out.
Wow. I finally got to say hello to you, man. How are you?
Man. Yeah, I've been seeing you
I'm
guys.
going to try to get rid of this music in the background here, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's a Canadian and a half right there. Did you hear that? Oh.
Born and raised.
Oh, that accent is...
24. It's a real weenie shrinker out here.
I'm honored, bro, that you come on here, man. Your first time on a show.
You know what I was saving it for, Bruce? I really loved. I love what you guys are awesome. It was blood boxing. Blood from Retro. He's the first guy.
Wait a minute, I can't hear you, bro. Let me try to shut that shit in the background I have off. That free music thing. Let me see if this does it. I hope I don't get rid of us. Nope, that didn't do it. Let me look on here. More here.
Your mic is a little quiet.
I'll try and speak up. Let
me look down here. Boom. Jerry Jeff Walker. We don't want that. All right, we're good?
Cool. Awesome. Yeah,
All right, man.
the guy who started all this, me jumping on into chat rooms and all that, is Blood at Retro Sports and Boxing, and his documentaries, and he was the guy I was going to actually bust my cherry on his show if I ever decided to jump on. But you guys are buddies. I've seen you on his show, and then George kept calling me out. I'm sorry he isn't on the show right now, because it would have been
Yeah.
nice it would have been nice to have a word with him. But great to talk to you guys and meet you guys.
Con Sean, you're welcome on here anytime, man. You know, and really, bro, I feel humbled that there's a billion sites on here. You could go on any one of them, bro. And everybody knows Sean Connery out there because every time your name is mentioned, we crack a smile, bro. I mean,
Really?
clever. And man, and you got Muhammad Ali and your avatar up there, bro. Dude, you humble me up here, man. Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, but you know what? You're a jazz guy and I'm a musician. So I've been a jazz guy. I've been a musician for 30 years and a boxing fan. So you're combining the magic potion there.
I'll tell you, right, man. And you know, random acoustic thoughts. I just wanted to ask you too. I know you were mentioning you live up in Boston, and you were hearing me talking about the clubs I used to go to up there, bro.
Yeah. Man, so many of the clubs are gone, man. Now, more than you will have remembered.
Jazz Workshop still up there?
Jazz Workshop, I'm not sure. I don't even know if I haven't been out much. I don't even know if Wally's is still there. You know, that's how critical it's gotten.
See, I don't even remember Wally's. That was after my time.
Small little jazz club. It's been there, but it's a small place, smaller than Slade's.
Good ones are, bro. I mean, like Paul's Mall it was right on Tremont Street, and it had another club in it too. It was called the Jazz Workshop. And it was huge. I'm not huge, maybe 300 people in each room, and they'd bring people like that's where Miles Davis did his last tour. He played at the Jazz Workshop. I saw Grover Washington Jr. there, Larry Coryell.
Oh man, what was the name of that? Wow, what was the name of that place? Oh, sorry, guys.
Sorry, go ahead.
Bro. What was the name of that place in Inman Square? Riles.
It was called the In Square Men's Bar.
Yeah, so it became Riles, and it's gone now. The Western Front's gone. Unfortunately.
I did a Skype talk. I had a Skype chat. It was supposed to be a guitar lesson, but all we did was talk and tell stories with Mike Stern. Do you know who Mike Stern is?
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit. Mike Stern, he went to Berkeley, bro. He didn't even get out of his bed. He just stayed. He didn't go to classes.
He never did, but
Miles Davis as soon as he graduated.
He did, yeah. He practiced his ass
off. I talked to Mike a couple of times. Fucking nice guy. What a guitar player, bro. Oh my
deadly.
God.
He's deadly. You know what? It was supposed to be a guitar lesson. It was it was just when the shutdown just happened. And I thought he was actually not touring anymore, wasn't working, and he was doing these Skype lessons. And I thought, you know what? Even if I just paid to meet this guy, it's worth it. So we just talked and bullshitted and just he told Miles stories. That's all we did. We barely did any guitar playing. So it was great but his Miles stories were fantastic. You know, he talked about the fact that Miles would come back and he basically, he was not a disciplinarian. He wasn't like a strict disciplinarian on stage. He said he would always crack jokes and somebody flub a note and then basically be worried that they get fired that night, and then he'd walk over and he'd say, "I like that. That was creative. Nice." Or he'd say, "It was creative."
I would. Oh yeah, it was creative. I would love to talk to Mike Stern, bro.
He's an awesome guy.
Yeah. When I was hanging out in Boston back in the mid '70s, that's when he was going to Berkeley, and like I said, when he was a senior in the finals, he wasn't even going to class because he knew he was going right to Miles Davis. You know why he even had to stay for his degree, I don't know, but they used to put together bands, and go to these bars, and you would see top level musicians, bro.
He thought he sucked, eh? He thought he sucked. It was Pat Metheny that convinced him to start getting out there. Pat Metheny, Pat Metheny is the guy that set him up with the Telecaster. He said, I like your sound with the telly. Keep playing the telly. And then he went on tour with Blood, Sweat, and Tears that led to Billy Cobham, which led to Miles.
There you go, man. That's the stairway to heaven right there, bro. I mean, dude, yeah. Fucking Pat Metheny. He blew my mind for a while. I saw Pat Metheny one night in Newport, Rhode Island, at a place called Salt. It was a little club, mostly a folk club. Like I saw people like Tom Rush there, Dave Van Ronk, shit, Odetta. It was really mostly a folk club, but they also would have jazz people when they came to town, especially people like Pat Metheny, where he could do it solo, but fortunately he brought his band in there. We have, the Lyle Mays and Dan Gottlieb on drum.
Yeah, gotcha.
Mark Egan, who the hell was the keyboard? Who the hell was the bass player? Paul Evans on bass. I think that was his name.
Yeah.
And we see a Paul Evans in the chat all the time.
He had Mark Egan before that.
Mark Egan, there we go. Why did I say Paul Evans?
Before that, yeah.
Mark Egan. But yeah, Jocko, man, the trio with Jocko and
I got to meet Hiram Bullock, who played with Jocko. He's gone now, R.I.P. But yeah, amazing guys. Yeah, all people. He did a guitar clinic, Hiram Bullock, and all people did was ask him about Jocko. It's like, forget about you.
Jocko was a great bass player, though. I mean, I saw Jocko 3 times. I was fortunate enough to see him. I saw him once with Weather Report in Providence. I saw him another time in Providence with Joni Mitchell, and the third time I saw him, it was before he passed away. He played solo. It was his birthday. He played at a place called Lupo's Heartbreak Hotel, and he was drunk. He was on drugs.
I think I heard you tell this story. It's pretty sad.
Oh, it was sad, man. It was sad. But Jocko, one of the best in the world. When I saw him play with Weather Report, man, he did a Jimi Hendrix thing. He did a bass solo, mind blowing. The fucking it was in the place called the Veterans Memorial Auditorium, an old fucking pre-war symphony place. The curtains and everything, and he was shaking the place, boom, 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 and he had the reverb going. And he laid the bass down, and then he disappeared. The solo's still going. He jumps out of nowhere, boom, stops. Oh, Christ, the fucking place went wild. But that was my introduction to Jocko live. Wow. And, I even had Jocko with Sam and Dave. Fucking shout out to Jocko. May God be with your spirit, my brother.
Yeah, special guy.
Oscar Prince, man. Thanks for coming in. I don't know why Bruce Goes Boxing, Jazz, and More is still fucking sitting out here, bro. But I'm here, brother. I'm welcoming you here. What's up, Oscar Prince?
What's up, Bruce? Not much, man. I just wanted to stop by, show some support like always,
All right, brother. Nice to see you, man. Yeah, Mark Unrivaled over here, Random Acoustic Thoughts, and the legendary Sean Connery, never been on the air before, graced Bruce Goes Boxing, Jazz, and More with his presence tonight, man. I'm actually blessed, bro. Con Connery, he's a jazz man. He loves boxing. You love weed too, don't you, Con?
Only edibles. I can't do the smoke.
Edibles, man. I like edibles myself, bro. But I love the flower.
I like a little combination of both. Half an edible, 25 mils, and then blaze up a little bit. I was doing it during my chat, and I was starting to lose the plot at the end. Forgot I was doing a chat. Just talking and talking. It was a lot of fun, man. I'm going to do a lot of these, I think, coming up.
The only thing I worry about is you lose track of everything, and then you're in the weeds.
That was definitely happening. I was deep in the weeds. I'm actually nodding off now because my schedule's weird, so I haven't slept in since yesterday evening. So I think I'm going to sleep. I think I'm going to jump off. I just wanted to say big shout out to Mark and obviously you, Bruce. And thanks, Bruce, for coming on the chat. And I'll come back on, and I just and Con Connery, I seen you in the chat and the comments and things. So
you, brother.
And so I hope all you guys have a great night. I'm gonna listen as I fall asleep. So
we're not gonna stay on here much longer, bro. I have to stretch my legs. I have to let the dog out. I need another glass of water. This thing is almost empty, man. The Tokatoo is looking kind of dingy over here. That stuff's almost become biological waste. Well, I've been
Toker
doing that
too.
show.
Well, if I
know
get a
it.
second
Have you
wind
tried the
of,
pen?
Say that again,
Have you
brother.
ever? No, I was asking one of your guys if he does the pen, if he ever hit the pen before.
oh me, yeah, sometimes. But I like the
Yeah.
edibles. I like this nice and even, you know.
Every day I wake up and I say I'm going to take a ride to the dispensary and get some edibles, but I always end up grabbing some flour when I get there, some bud, and I'll get home and I'll say, damn, they had this thing there today. I saw it was called the Elvis cookie, and it was a thousand milligram. It was like $70. And I think there might have even been two of them in there, but dude, just the name of it kind of intrigued me. And I came home, I Googled it, and it gave it like a 4.78 star rating. And I hope they still have them tomorrow, because a lot of those things, they get them and they disappear. And I dig edibles too, but the funny thing is, even when I do edibles, it's like I always have to do a couple of tokes just kind of in there, just to, I don't know why, maybe it's just a habit of smoking. Maybe I'm addicted to the burning, smoking aspect of it. I don't know, man. Who knows? But I love edibles. Love them.
Over
Could
there,
be.
is
It
it
could.
go ahead, man.
Oh no, I was just saying it could be because smoking weed is intensely fun and awesome. So you throw that in there anyway, you know.
Oh, it's my medicine, bro. I mean, I'm a card-carrying medical marijuana patient, the state of Rhode Island, bro. And marijuana has gotten me off four prescribed medications. One of which was a highly addictive narcotic. The other one was a benzodiazepam, and the other two were one was a so-called antidepressant, Wellbutrin, and another one was it was given to me from the neuropathy in my feet. I wasn't walking enough when I retired, and instead of taking the pills, I stopped taking those and just fucking started getting more circulation, eating the proper foods to get more blood flow through the body, eating the vasodilators, eating more beets, more kale, more cabbage, spinach, and the weed is all I need. I have chronic pain from arthritis. I get off of OxyContin. I smoke the weed. That's what fucking gets me through the day. And I have a medical marijuana card to do it. And I like talking about it on here, man. And hey, it seems like everybody likes the weed, because we know that it's kind of the only thing you can do with relative safety, as far as a mind-altering substance is concerned.
I agree.
That's true.
Better
In
than
Rhode
heroin.
Island,
That
is
stuff
it card or
rewires
cash
your
only?
gears. Sorry.
What was that question?
I'm saying, is it at your dispensary in Rhode Island? Is it cash or card?
No, you need your card to get in there in Rhode Island.
No, but I mean when you pay.
Oh, you pay either or, cash or the card. Well, I usually go with cash, because we don't want that on our bank records, man. It's a cash world for me. It's always had. I don't even have a credit card. I have a debit card.
Because the last time I went, it's been like a while, but it was only cash only because of taxes here in California.
Well, in the next state over, Massachusetts, which is it's actually 2 towns over from where I'm at, maybe 10 miles. And in Massachusetts, it's totally legal. You can fire up on the streets. Everything. You can't drive smoking it. Obviously, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. But anyway, you can go buy it anywhere. There's got to be like for every 20 businesses, there's a pot shop. So anybody can go to Massachusetts and Rhode Island. You need this medical marijuana card that I have to go into they call them dispensaries, and they work on straight cash. I haven't used a credit card there. I haven't seen any stickers up, and it says it's cash only. So I guess every operation has their own thing. In Massachusetts, you can use a debit card or a credit card or whatever. They just they're cash-based operations. They're money operations. In Rhode Island, they're state-run medical dispensaries. They call them, But there's a place right next door. You can go get a medical marijuana card. So it's all bullshit, man. It's just a system getting rich on you one way or the other. Massachusetts, you go to the stores. Yeah, you get good stuff, plenty of selection, but you pay up the ass, bro. I mean, it wipes out a poor guy like me.
Yeah, no, here you have to pay. I think it's cash only, and then like if you have the card, it's cheaper. But if you don't, if you're just getting recreational, then it's more expensive.
Yeah, they do give you a discount, but what? Fuck everybody in there, recreational, medical. I mean, obviously, I 100% use it for medical reasons. But don't tell me I don't like the buzz. Why is it every time I talk about the reefer, my brother G5 stops in, man? Shout out to my brother G5 out there. What's up, man? What's up? Thanks for coming in. G5, I was here with my brother George Jakovic. We were chopping up the George Foreman and Ron Lyle fight. That was 48 years from today, bro. Jen Kiley, salute. And I remember that fight. And George, he was a little kid when it happened. And we showed the fight and we talked about it. And then we just opened it up. And man, I'm going on 2.5 hours over here. My wife is going to tell me that it was too long after. As soon as I shut it down, she always says, keep these short, keep to the point. And my brother Scrapbook out there. Shout out Scrapbook, man.
Oh, big up Scrapbook.
I love when Scrapbook graces my show, man. Stops in the panel, blesses us. So shout out to Scrapbook and Jed Kiley too, bro. Everybody out there. But yeah, like I was saying a few seconds ago, whenever it was, Derek Clark stopping in too, man. Salute. We came on here to pay homage to that great fight, the elevator fight, the knockdown fight, bro. I mean, it was awesome to live through, and we just have to keep it alive. People forgot about it today. I didn't hear one outlet talking about it. And I just realized, because I went on Twitter and saw somebody drop the,
I saw you going live, and you had me at Foreman Lyle. That's all it took.
It had me as soon as I knew it was the anniversary. It gave me an excuse to go live and to show the fight. And my brother George, I sent him a text about 2 minutes before I went on. He got back to me. I think the intro song was playing. And he's like, yeah, did you go on yet? I said, yeah, I just did. And bango, he came out here. We chopped the fight up. The fight itself only lasted, 45 minutes. It was a six-round knockout. But we've been on ever since. We've been talking about boxing. We've been talking about Bobby Chacon. Bobby's nephew was out there. We've been talking about everything. Look at this. You leave the back door open, bro. Anybody's liable to come crawling in. And here's my smoking brother, G5. Puffing on a blunt, kicking back. I love it, man. Salute to my brother G5. What's happening, brother?
Man, what's going on, Brucey? Bruce, my OG brother. You already know.
Man.
Man, first one of the day. I be working so much, moving around with those kids. They young and active. They 5 and 7. So when I get home, I'm gonna get off work and clock back in to work. Daddy time. So once I get them out of my hair, oh yeah.
You got it right, bro. You know the time and the place for everything. And G5, you blow my mind, because I see you on early in the morning, and you're Texas. This is New England, bro. That's 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and then I see you on late at night. Bro, are you a vampire? Do you sleep, or do you just go in the coffin and you throw a couple of nails in there and then you come out at sunrise? What's up, brother?
Man, somebody asked me that the other day and said, dude, do you sleep? I'm like, yeah, I sleep, But I'm an early riser, you know what I'm saying? So I got to get up and go get to that money, I'm only young once. So I'm going to take advantage of it, and run up as much as I can, and then go from there. What's going on, Constantry? What's going on, Acoustic Thoughts? Mark, salute to you, good brothers.
Salute to you, man.
God bless you, man. God bless you.
Yeah, I seen you was on, man. I was dealing with them kids. I wasn't gonna be able to tap in and something like that. I want to be able to just sit, smoke, and just kick back, So I was like,
You
man,
know,
I'm not gonna be able to sit
I
and
came
enjoy it
so
like I
close
want,
to
man.
dropping you an invite for it, but I said I don't want to be I don't want to force him like he's seen it, because I actually had no thought of doing it until I saw it, and it was, I think, 7:15. I set it to go off at 7:30, and
Mm-hmm.
I said, Mark, Mark lives in New York. He's a boxing head. He'll do it. And I said, I know G5 will do it, but man, I don't know if he's just up,
Man,
because he got the crazy
man.
schedule. And so I said, what I'll do is, as soon as I see him come in there, I'll drop a link. And bro, it's already been 2.5
Bro,
hours, man.
you good, man. Hey, I don't think you gotta do. You got my number, man. You could just shoot me the link. Hey, I'm doing this. Boom, man. I'm not gonna turn you down, bro. You my guy. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
but
saying? You
but
share the link.
you got the kids, you're making the cake, bro, and you gotta sleep, and you're everywhere. It's like,
Nah,
bro,
it's
everywhere I
cool.
go. Yeah.
I mean, it's only
Boxing.
9:03 my time. I'm good. I still got a good 3 hours before I shut it down, man. I know that. So then
Hey,
I'll be up at 6 and my time, and then I'm rocking and rolling for the rest of the day until I get back off and do it all over again.
keeping with the theme here. What's your memories of George Foreman and Ron Lyle? 48 years ago today. You must have been shown that when you were a kid. Anybody who loved boxing must have said, "Hey, G5, come on, check this out." And what's your thoughts about that fight, my brother?
Well, with me being 33, thank God I have like older uncles and siblings who always was into a lot of just combat sports anyway. Because I was always watching a lot of karate and martial arts movies because I had certain people into stuff like that. But I remember seeing it when I was younger, probably around like 9 or 10. Uh, it was kind of fuzzy then. Um, I know it was a great fight. I think it's a fight that is kind of overlooked or kind of slept on. I mean, some people talk about Ron Lyle. Some people don't even know who he is. You guys know who he is, but some may not. If I can remember, I don't even. I don't remember exactly how the outcome. When I believe George won that fight.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
Yep.
George won it. It was brutal. Both
George
fighters
won
got knocked down. It was just a brutal
on
fight.
on, on
If you don't,
paper.
if it's fuzzy G5, give yourself a half hour, the next few days, and just watch it, bro. And you won't be, you'll come back and you'll be like somebody gave you a new strain that you haven't heard or seen before,
Oh
and it's
shit!
like
Yeah.
fucking 26% THC. That's the feeling you get from watching this fight, bro.
I always
Oh
thought,
yeah.
I always said on paper, George Foreman should have lost that fight. He should have been knocked out. But because of what happened to him in Zaire, that devastation he felt, there was no way he wasn't getting up if he had an ounce of life in his body.
Okay. See, now it's coming back to me. Yes. There we go. Now you're talking about when how he lost to Ali.
Well, yeah,
So.
that's what I think kept him up on his feet when he fought against Lyle, because in
Mm-hmm.
Zaire his corner told him to stay down, and then his corner told him to get up. It was too late. So every time
Mm-hmm.
Lyle knocked him down, he basically got up with an urgency that somebody that basically he had not he should have had nothing. Like, I think he was concussed. I mean, especially those two knockdowns. The second one, I think any average human would have basically just laid there, like just the way that Lyle did when Foreman finally knocked him out. I think it was that
Mm-hmm.
urgency that Foreman had after Zaire. He thought, "There's no way that's going to happen to me again."
Oh yeah. Then you get knocked down and take a beating from Ali. You like, man, Ron Lyle is a good fighter, but he's no Ali. So if I could take Ali punches, and I could still be able to take his as well. So he probably just had an extra confidence from that Ali fight. Like, if I
Yeah,
go down, I'm getting back up. If I'm hurt, it
yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
matter. I'm getting back up.
I think there was
So
no staying down. I agree.
hmm
But see, George Foreman, and I mentioned that before on the show. After the Ali defeat, he had something to prove. He had that chip on his shoulder. He was not right. I mean, even and he went to Canada and he staged this crazy sideshow where he fought 3-round exhibitions with 5 different fighters. It was on ABC Wide World of Sports. Howard Cosell was making jokes about it.
He was there.
And at ringside. It was a circus sideshow, but George Foreman wanted to prove to everybody that he had the stamina, to go to 15 rounds. And when him and Ron Lyle, that was Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Neither one of these guys, they were dead on their feet and they're throwing these power shots to each other. We just watched it a little while ago, and I'm still psyched on the fight. It was just such an awesome Rock'em Sock'em Robot fight. And George, he just beat the shit out of Ron Lyle at the end. He got him in the corner and wailed on him with those big wide punches, and they all landed. And bro, it was awesome shit. But Foreman, he still had the chip on his shoulder. He wanted to prove that he could go a distance. And then when Jimmy Young beat him, the next
in
fight,
77,
in San Juan, that's when George just at the end of the fight. He lost the decision. He got knocked down. He lost the decision, and he passed out in the locker room. Said he had died and gone to heaven. Said he saw God. God told him not to box anymore, to go to build a church, and spread the word. And that's what George did for 10 years, man. He didn't even think about boxing again. He was the preacher. All the money he had, he built his congregation. Gave it all away.
Yeah.
And
well, I think with George is that he was heading back to a title shot. He wanted to rematch Ali, but after he lost to Jimmy Young, that was
it. That was the end of it. Now he had a mental breakdown.
Yeah,
that was a confidence kicker right there.
Oh yeah, that was the.
He really had he went fucking crazy. He
back at the bottom.
He had to go to the hospital. He was hallucinating. He was dehydrated. The doctor said that, but he
in that ring though. He was basically at a heat stroke, but that led to the title eliminator, which was Jimmy Young, because he was the winner in the Foreman fight, and Kenny Norton. That's where Kenny Norton. I think it's arguable that if you watch that fight, you could have gave it to either Jimmy or Kenny in that fight.
Oh, Jimmy Young twice. He missed out becoming the heavyweight champion of the world by split decisions.
That's a fight that killed Jimmy. That losing that WBC title eliminator to Ken Norton, and he's never the same.
Fact. But then what was that? He also got beat by. He shouldn't have gotten beat by him. Was it Ocasio?
Yeah, he got beat. He got beat by a high-end journeyman after that. He was never the same.
And then Michael Dokes beat him, and when he
got beat by Jerry Cooney.
That was sad.
That was in 1980. 1980.
That was an older Cooney.
Oh God, devastating.
That was really a prime Cooney, more of a prime Cooney in 98, in 1980. Because I think he only had because after that fight, he went on a tear of knocking out Ron Lyle and Ken Norton back to back.
They were feeding him to the lion. He was the lion. They were feeding them to him, and I think it was easy.
Yeah.
I think his best career performance was against Larry Holmes, but he just didn't improve from that fight on.
I agree.
He regressed.
I agree with you. My thing is that, when it comes to him, at that point, his best fights were against John Dennis and Leroy Boone, right? Before fighting Jimmy Young. So he took. They're good fighters, but that's a huge step up. John Dennis to Jimmy Young and Ron Lyle is massive steps up.
Oh, John Dennis from Providence, Rhode Island, bro, man. I talked to John Dennis many times, man.
On his way up.
Shout out to John Dino Dennis.
But I think
he got to fight George Foreman though.
Oh God, that wasn't a good look on him, that fight.
No. But
that was too little, too late. The thing is
Yeah.
that I mean, Cooney said this too in interviews. He said that had he been continued to be brought up and continued to improve on skill set, even past the Holmes fight, which didn't happen. He had long layoffs and then got into drugs, and the rest is history. But Cooney had talent. He was a decent fighter. He wasn't what
he
some
was
people
a
made him
rib
out to be.
breaker. Are you kidding me? Cooney was
Tyson Fury thinks that he rates him higher than Holmes. Some people, even professionals, are out of their minds. It's science fiction. He was good. He was a decent fighter.
Cooney blew his career because of drugs, man. He's the first guy to admit it. He could have had a good career, but he was into the fucking nose candy and he was into the fucking Irish whiskey. He told me himself, bro. When he knocked out Ken Norton, the first thing he did was a line and a fucking shot, and he never stopped.
Yeah. He'd signed a fight for the WBA
with Mike Weaver.
Mike Weaver. The Weaver fight would have been an interesting fight because I think he could have knocked Weaver out.
I think so too, man.
Ooh.
But he was fucked up though, so I don't know if he could have, because look what Michael Spinks did.
If he fought the way he did against Holmes, he could have.
He should have broke Michael Spinks in half.
Oh, big time.
But look what happened, man.
Well,
I do think Larry's even though, like, if he had performed like he did against Larry against somebody else, so yeah, he could have won. But here's the thing: he never recaptured that again. He was done. He was done after that.
I agree.
And it was rapid too. It was rapid decline.
Absolutely.
But Cooney was good, but I do agree with you. If people are rating Cooney above Larry Holmes throughout their goddamn
keep it rolling. I gotta get some more water, bro.
Yeah.
That's just a work of mentalized fiction. I mean, he doesn't beat him in any categories other than knockouts.
Even history should be 20. When you look at hindsight, should be 2020. You've got the entire legacy of Larry Holmes, where he came back and he handed Ray Mercer his first career loss, an Olympic gold medalist who was a heavyweight and a young heavyweight coming up, knocking people out. He was basically at a chin like, cast iron. And Holmes in a past prime shouldn't have happened. Basically, he handed him his first career loss. You can't discount that. He's no accident.
By the way, I do want to put this disclaimer. If people start comparing people to Larry, I'm very biased very quickly, because that guy to me was the epitome of a heavyweight boxer, the epitome of heavy, like, because he could bang quite well, like he could one punch you. He didn't do it a lot, but he could. He had, to me, the best jab in heavyweight history, and arguably one of the greatest jabs in the sports history. Fuck just one division, just the whole division. He had great movement, full extension on his shots, and he was tough as nails.
He was a complete fighter. He had a chin. He stood up to he got off the floor after that second Shavers fight, which would have put everybody in a coma.
And the other fighter to sleep.
Absolutely. Who would have got?
Yeah, because that was a shot. Not only did Shavers land it completely clean with full extension and follow through. The thing is Larry leaned. He moved an inch forward, so he moved into the fucking shot, which is crazy.
That's the worst.
So those two intangibles, you're moving into a shot, but the shot has follow through, torque, lands clean, and that shot's from Ernie fucking Shavers. Never mind making a 10 count. You'll be lucky if you can make your own funeral.
Arguably one of the hardest punches.
Depending who you ask, the hardest puncher. Depending who you ask, man.
Yeah, if they don't say him first, he's in everybody's top 3, I believe, of one of the hardest punchers.
Well, I'll say it like this. Con Connery has a photo there. That photo was Muhammad Ali, right? Who did Ali say hit the hardest out of everybody he ever fought against?
Mr. Shavers.
A man by the name of Ernie Shavers.
And the funniest thing about that is Ali did interviews after he said, why I decided to sign that fight this late in my career, I'll never know.
Yes.
Like, give me a break. He was 2 fights away from retirement. Well, the first one anyway. I you know what, when I daydream and this is just a dream, I wished he never would have come back. So the 2 fights in 1980 and the last one with Berbick, I wish I could erase those from history.
Unfortunately, we can't.
It's a romantic thought.
But even though we can't, and even though it would be great if we could, in many ways, it just shows like a little bit more of the fortitude he had. You know what I mean? This man could barely fucking move. Like, I mean, move is in his body when he stepped in the ring with Berbick.
Absolutely.
And he still fucking tried to fight. He tried.
He fought the fight that he basically was, I think, capable of fighting against Holmes, but because he was on those pills, they were thyroid pills. He had no strength. He just couldn't lift his arms. But he probably would have fought the same fight and lost against Berbick, where he threw like 80% more punches, but didn't.
The thing is, he went 10 rounds with both of them.
Yeah, big time.
Like, he went 10 rounds with both of them. Like, especially like against Berbick, like, to me, it's spooky because the man, he hadn't fought him, or like it was 81. He pretty much had Parkinson's then. I mean, he was fucking shaking. He was on every pill known to man. The dude couldn't like sit down on a toilet without dropping his spleen out of his ass. You know what I mean? And he's going 10 rounds. I feel like it just adds to his legacy. Even though he lost, even though it's tragic, even though it's heartbreaking to watch, it just shows the character, the fortitude, and just that dude. When Tyson says he would die for that shit, it's not a joke, dude.
That's 100%. That's 100%.
Hey, bro, I'm back again.
The difference between him and Tyson.
I'm back again. I have a clean bong. I can sit here for a while. I've got a fresh glass of H2O. Keep well hydrated. I've emptied about a quart of water into the toilet, so I'm kicking back over here once again, man. And Larry Holmes, man, the Ali, the latter stages in his career was so sad for me personally, bro. That last fight, the second to the last fight with Larry Holmes, that was an event for me, man. Ali was probably the last guy who was actually I was a super fan of. I mean, when Ali fought, we went out to dinner. We got the finest weed. You know, the old ladies, they all understood. They made sure everything was cool. There were no pay-per-views. It was you'd have to go to a closed circuit theater to see Ali and Holmes. And man, we went out to dinner. We were riding with Ali. He was going to regain the title for the. This was the fourth time, I believe?
It would be the fourth time, yeah.
Fourth time, man.
Been against Leon
1980. I remember that so well, bro. And Ali was he fooled everybody. He took those thyroid pills, T3s. I remember those. And he took off his robe. He was shredded. Look at Ali, man. He looks like the old Ali.
He looked good.
Six pack. I mean, he looks great. Cover right up again. He had the mustache and his face looked drained. I mean, the Cleveland Clinic didn't even want him to go through with the fight. And I talked to Tim Witherspoon. Tim told us about the fight. He was in Las Vegas. He was a sparring partner. So he said right up until the very end, the fight was almost canceled.
Yeah,
and he was in the room. Remember that? And
I remember him saying that.
And bro, that fight broke my fucking heart, man. I saw Ali get beat up, and Larry Holmes, man, he said he hated doing it, but Larry was a fighter. He had that look in his eye when the referee wouldn't stop him. He just kind of and he fucking beat the fuck out of Muhammad Ali, man.
Oh,
it was sad.
He cried like a baby after too.
Yeah, he cried like a baby, but dude, Ali caught the worst end of that one, man. You know.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Dude, you know, and I walked out of the theater, and you could have hit a pin drop. nobody was. We want our money back. Fraud. Almost people almost crying, bro. It was
It's
damn.
sad. Well, to Mark's point, to further that point about Muhammad Ali, is that he was that guy. That's why there was no other way this story could have gone. It had to have been that had to be the bookend because he wasn't going to stop even fighting without a fight. He had to go in there to see if there was anything left, even when it wasn't. Everybody around him knew that there was nothing there. But George Foreman said, the worst part about facing Ali is that you knew from round 1 to round 15 he was going to be there. He wasn't going anywhere. That's an intimidating X factor.
That's fucking frightening. Like when like most guys are like, right, if I land a shot, I'm getting a dude out of here maybe, or if I walk him here, he's going to give in. But when you go into round 10, 11, 12, and then 13, 14, right, that this man, his eyes are locked on you, and every shot has focus. Just every shot has you're on autopilot trying, but he's still focused. There's no autopilot. It's still there. It's all fast. There was something in that dude mentally that made him different. He had something different mentally. Something different. It's scary to see. It's scary. And when you see him against Berbick and Holmes, and literally there's nothing left in his body. Up there in his head, there's still something trying to will himself into it. It's the scariest single thing I've ever seen, like from a dude, ever. Mm-hmm. Like that is the epitome to me of fucking nuts. Ali was insane.
But the production, bro, living it was different. The fight with Larry Holmes was big time. Caesar's Palace. I think it was fucking sold out. It was a huge event. The fight with Trevor Berbick, it was in the Bahamas. It was in a cow field. They didn't have a. They had a fucking cow. Cling dong dong. It was like I'm watching this. It was on. There was a service called. It was an over-the-air service. You had to pay like $17.50 a month for it. They showed 3 movies a night, and they would also show pay-per-view fights. They showed the Coney Holmes fight, and they showed the fight we're talking about, the Larry Holmes and Trevor Berbick. And so I went over to my bud's house, and he paid for it. It was no big deal, but we knew it was anticlimactic after what happened with Larry Holmes, and he was even talking about fighting Mike Weaver. I remember he was going to go that route, and that fight fell through. And bro, the Trevor Berbick, he was a motherfucker. He beat up Muhammad Ali. Like Mark was saying, he was bloated. He didn't look right. I think they had to get it out of the United States because no commission in the United States would sanction the fight.
And if you think about Mike Tyson and the Trevor Berbick connection, there's another bookend to kind of look at because Mike Tyson has a connection to Muhammad Ali through Cus D'Amato. Cus D'Amato shares the same birthday with Ali. They used to call each other on their birthday. Cus D'Amato actually called Ali after the Holmes loss, and they all cried on the phone together. And when Tyson went in to fight Berbick for the WBC belt in '86, that was a revenge fight for Tyson. So it was
you must know the Cus D'Amato and Ali story before Ali had the Rumble in the Jungle. Cus said you just hit him with that fucking sucker right hand that no boxer throws. You hit him right in the fucking face with that. And you let him know you're here for business. And he did, man.
I remember that one.
Cus talked to Ali about the Rumble, about the Zaire fight. He told him, he said, bully the bully. He said, he said, basically stand in front of the guy. He won't, you can make him fold.
Break his psyche. That's the crazy thing. If he's not stronger than you, if he's not faster than you, if he can't beat you on the jab, if he can't move his feet better than you, if he's slowed down, if he can't clinch you, he's going to break you mentally. That's why he's so... The dude could beat you a lot of ways, depending on who you were. And the last one, attrition, is the scariest way you can beat someone, is attritionally. That's the scariest way to beat somebody, because that is the epitome of like the better man won, right? Because if somebody can outlast you, they were willing to do it more than you were. That's literally the better man.
That'd be the Ali coup de grace, the battle of.
But what kept Ali's fights on such an action level too, if I can just say, bro. When he got to like for instance, man, I can't remember who he beat, but Archie Moore was in the audience, and they're asking him what's next. Next, I'm going to take care of that old man Archie Moore, and
62.
Stage is set, and it's there's no lull. There's no downtime. There's no marinating the next fight. That fight's on, and it went on from that. After that fight, Floyd Patterson, I'm gonna get you, Rabbit. I mean, bro, it's like it was a fucking continuous show from fucking 3-4 fights a year, bro. Even when he had the title.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to Muhammad Ali, man. If you guys, I'm sure nobody here missed it, man. He just had his birthday last week, man. In fact, I think it was a week ago from tonight, man. So happy birthday, Ali.
Yeah.
I hope you're still partying.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine, like, we never had that guy, and he just came now, right, into boxing now, and you hear the way he talked, like all the shit talking shit bro. This dude would be the biggest star ever. Even now, because people would hate him and love him. He'd have his lovers on his head. It's just like he did back in the day, a different era. But he would make boxing. If he was here now, boxing would be the biggest sport again. He would make it the biggest sport again. That's what he is. He's a transcendent person. Like, I'm sure you guys have heard of the UK TV station, the British broadcasting something,
BBC?
the BBC. Yeah. And they do their personality of the year, sports personality of the year, and every year it always goes to a Brit, right? Every year it does. When they gave out for the 1900 to 1999, the sports personality of the century, who the fuck do you think they gave that to? Ali. Couldn't give it to a Brit.
Yeah, he hit those polls in a lot.
The only time a Brit never won the BBC's like sports personality award was for the fucking century. Fuck the year, the century.
Well,
and it was Ali.
I think the guy was say one-off. There's nobody. You have to have that mixture of components just right. Somebody that's affable, that's outspoken, that's confident, that can kick ass, that's supremely talented. The guy just had too many things going for him,
And bro, everything that rolled off his lips, the quotes that he has. Just Google Muhammad Ali quotes, and there's got to be 100 of them in there, and every fucking one of them, you want to say it over and over again because you want to drop that in a conversation. I mean, they're so fucking timeless.
Oh, I'm bad. I've wrestled with an alligator. I've tussled with a whale. I've done handcuffed lightning and thrown thunder in jail.
Yeah.
I'm bad.
I mean,
just last week I murdered a rock, I injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean I make medicine sick.
When he handed,
and some of them are so deep too.
Single most devastating loss of his life. And then at the end of that fight, after taking the titles away from Foreman, they're interviewing him in the green room, and he's saying, "I told you, nobody else could do that." And the way he does it, where you're like, "Yeah,"
Well, I told you, I'm bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Not only that, bro, but he transcended boxing. He transcended boxing with social issues, and some of his quotes on life, on just the fucking way how fucked up things are, how things should be, how simple he can, like one quote I'll never remember. He says, somebody who hasn't gotten, I can't do it verbatim, but it was something like somebody who hasn't gotten any changed their mind in 30 years. They've been wasting their time. They haven't, something like that. Where
that's about not evolving, right?
I mean, just he's got hundreds of them in there, and I wish I could remember some of them, because sometimes you just want to shut somebody up and say something, and that's what Muhammad Ali said.
You could spend a month and go on YouTube and watch every interview he's ever done. He goes toe to toe with every interviewer, from Dick Cavett to who's that other guy? well, he'd been on Carson. He'd been on
He's been on
Parkinson
bro.
over in the UK. All those guys.
Did you see when he was on Arsenio Hall, man? He was on Arsenio Hall with Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Thomas Hearns. Oh, and Arsenio Hall asked Mike Tyson. Ali couldn't speak that well, but he was there, bro. I mean, shit.
Mike Douglas, remember him on Mike Douglas?
Well, let me finish this here, bro. Arsenio Hall said to him, to Mike Tyson, how do you think you would have fared against this guy in your prime? And, you know, fucking Ali's giving him the fucking raising his lip, and he's looking at Mike Tyson, and fucking Tyson just says, all tongues will be still, all heads will bow. Muhammad Ali is the greatest of them all. You know.
Yeah, I remember. He said, "I'm vain, but all tongues must tie, all heads must bow. This is the greatest of all time."
Mm.
Well, Mike always had the insight to know that he didn't have that thing in him that Ali had. So, I mean, we all know how that fight would have turned out. The thing is,
you can tell. I never make these crazy fights because who the fuck knows, man.
You can tell though with Mike, Bruce. You can tell Mike when he talks of Ali. What we've been talking about, Ali's fortitude, willingness to go that extra, that mental thing he had there. When Mike talks about it, you can see he's in absolute awe. Like, this is a different world to him when he thinks of what Ali would go through to win a fight. He can't comprehend it, and that's why he speaks like that about it, because it fucks with him. You can, because he's like, how the fuck can you do this?
Yeah. It won't be a one-round knockout. Ali would be there for the full 15 or the full 12, or I mean, it's.
And Ali would be focused in that 12th, 13th, 14th round.
Yeah.
But it would be great to see. I mean, you know, who the fuck knows? I mean, Ali had trouble with Joe Frazier, and what year are we going to put Muhammad Ali? What year are we going to put Mike Tyson? So these fantasy fights,
you're right.
They're fun to talk about, but they don't mean fucking shit.
Frazier
We all
won
know
such
that,
a good
man.
fight. I wouldn't want to change a thing, but he did have the draft conviction still hanging over his head. I think he had a lot of shit going on in his head in that fight.
Oh, I'm not going to degrade Muhammad Ali one bit. He's my favorite of all time, man. Sometimes I choke up when I'm talking about Muhammad Ali. I mean, bro, Ali's fucking number one. But as far as fantasy fights, some really great fighting minds will say Mike Tyson would be too much for him. He had trouble with Joe Frazier. Mike Tyson's that kind of fighter. He'd be in Ali's chest. Ali wouldn't want any more Mike Tyson. He hits harder than Frazier with both hands. So who's to say, man? You know, I could see.
Does he have a better gas tank than Prime Frazier, though?
Who knows, bro? I mean, Tyson didn't really have to prove that because he was.
Can he keep doing that in the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th, and 13th, and 14th round like Frazier? I don't think
he had enough power and he had enough intimidation to stop his fights before they got that long. And bro, he fought the best out there for that fucking 3-year stretch. I mean, all the fucking guys he fought were they wore belts or they were former title holders. I mean, once he fought Michael Spinks, that was it, man. He got all the hardware. You know, Larry Holmes was really way past his prime.
Tyson's
and Lennox Lewis, don't even make me laugh. That was not Mike Tyson in there. That was just a guy making a paycheck.
Fights are some of the most entertaining heavyweight fights you'll ever find. If you want to, you know, if you want to introduce a date that doesn't like boxing into boxing, you just put on a few Tyson fights. She'll be a fan. You know, that's or Foreman Lyle. I mean, there's a few gateway things.
But at the end, he quit. He didn't want to hate big boxing anymore. He had enough. He pulled Roberto Duran. He pulled Momas. Once he got knocked down, I mean, you know, he even after jail, he didn't really have it in him anymore, man. You know, he had become a Muslim. He just totally what fight that Customato and fucking Kevin Lee had in him was gone, bro.
Even prior to that, like when his family started his support unit, his structure started to break down. Jimmy Jacobs.
His family? You mean Robin Givens? Is that what you're talking about?
He lost us. He lost.
Who are you talking about when you say his family?
Yeah, he lost the home base. He lost Jim Jacobs.
No. Who are you talking about when you say his family? Customato and his wife, and I mean that's
I'm talking about Tyson.
Well, once Cuss died, that was it, man.
Yeah, I think he let
Jacobs,
go after that.
Jacobs and
Jacobs. And Bill Caden was left holding
Bill
the ball,
Caden but Jacobs was the one who was close to Tyson.
Jacobs,
You know,
when Jason Jacobs
Jacobs was just like Customato. Tyson
that was the last
fucking
nail in the
Jimmy
coffin.
Jacobs, man.
Yeah, that was the last nail in the coffin. Was Jacobs
Yeah,
passing?
once Jimmy Jacobs died, Don King moved in. Tyson got fucking.
Yeah.
I mean, before he was doing drugs, but he'd go buy a fucking dime bag and a fucking, a gram. Now he had Don King's money and he had the fucking ounces of coke and he had the fucking classy broads. He didn't have to hide from Customato or from Jimmy Jacobs. And so, that was the end of the best fucking Mike Tyson right there, bro.
And then you think about. I think if it wasn't
that was totally fucked up, man.
I think as I love Tyson, I think he's fantastic, but I think that Don King's the reason that he became a two-time world champion because of the all of the manipulation and the shifting of the puzzle pieces to get Tyson in the ring with Bruno.
Back then. Of course, man.
Yeah, as soon as when McCall took the WC belt off of Lewis. Don King started this whole strategy, put McCall in, knowing that he was right out of rehab, not ready to fight, with Frank Bruno Tyson already defeated. And then, of course, it was a foregone conclusion that Bruno was going to get the title again, puts Tyson in with Bruno, gets the title.
Fact, Jack. We know all that shit, bro. I mean, it was like that was the history of Mike Tyson. But the thing is, like Mark said, he was in awe of Ali. He all those fighters from the past who went
big time
15 rounds. He couldn't do that. That's why he talks about him. It sounds like he's reading out of the Bible. He quit. Once it got too tough for him, he didn't have fighting in his heart anymore. Cuss was gone. Jimmy Jacobs was gone. Bill Caton, he didn't get along with Bill Caton anyway, man. So he didn't, and Don King, he hated fucking King after a while. King was stealing his money as far as Tyson was concerned. So, bro, he just fucking gave it up. Boxing left him, and when he went to jail, he came out. That was just bullshit, man. He went through the motions. He was good enough to, to beat the fucking Buster fucking Mathis Juniors and the Olin Norrises, guys like that, no problem. But as soon as he got to fucking Holyfield, forget it, man. Holyfield wasn't going anywhere. And after that, all those fucking Danny McBride and fucking Lennox Lewis was sad. But that was not Mike Tyson. That was just somebody trying to get some money back because they blew all their money and they got ripped off all their money. It was just like Joe Louis fucking thing. But one thing about Tyson, he came back. Thanks to what? You know what? Right here, bro. The fucking. The fucking herb, and he's riding high again. He's a millionaire. No, I don't give a fuck what you might have thought of him. Right now, he's just a fucking high cat like myself. He's doing fucking shit on the couch. He's smoking the finest weed, probably better than I'm smoking, and he's probably got a nice rotation. I don't know how he can be smoking better than I'm smoking, because I'm smoking about the best you can fucking get right now, bro. Believe me. This fucking this sour diesel is legendary shit, man. It's been around since the early 90s. And I'm digging it, man. In fact, I'm just about ready to close this fucking madhouse down. Anybody want to say anything before I get out of here? Nothing, man.
Yeah, I was on you. Hey, man, always good just coming up here with y'all, man. I know you always kicking something. I'll go back and replay and watch the fight, or I just put it up on my TV or tablet or something and refresh my memory. That's why I like to watch old school fight. New school, you have a handful, but they box, but they don't have that mentality of just fight. They don't care where you at, who you with, they fight. You go back and watch any classic fights, they fought 3, 4, 5 times. I was like, yeah, you don't get that these days. But appreciate all you fellas, man. Y'all have a great night. I'm probably about to give me something to eat, Bruce, and shut it down. I was going to go live, but it's all good, man. I'm going to shut it down.
How about you, Con? You want to say something, my brother?
Oh, it was great being on. Great first time. I'll have to listen to it to see how well the mic's doing. I don't know if it's doing good or you can hear me that good or not sure, but yeah, thanks
You're
for having
clear.
me. I'll
Yeah,
come back.
a little more
I'll come
volume
back.
would have been great, but bro, you were perfect, man. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No problem. No problem, Bruce. I'll come and visit you again. Maybe when George is back. Good talking to all of you guys. Salute to all of you.
Yeah, no
Salute to you,
problem. Nice
brother,
to
and
meet you.
thank you for coming on here, man.
Cheers.
Hey, Random, you want to say a word or two? You still there, brother? I guess not, man. How about my man Mark? Is Mark still in here, man? You know, Mark does. Mark's working, and then he runs back in and he goes to work.
I'm here. Sorry, bro. Sorry. What's going on?
No
I just got back.
problem. Just wondering if you're still here, man. I'm closing it down. I just wanted to say, you know, I asked you if you wanted to drop a gem or two before I block here and get rid of you, man.
Sure. You want a gem or two?
You know it, brother.
Okay. Well, I'll give something that most people don't know. Right? We just discovered this last night. Ladies and gentlemen, Yuriorkis Gamboa was the last unified featherweight champion of the world in 2010 when he took victory over Orlando Salido, picking up the vacant IBF and WBA super titles. And the other gem that I'll hit you with is thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching Bruce. Because at the end of the day, we all watch shit. We all watch and enjoy our stuff. But it's a pleasure to be able to talk and have you guys listen. Have a good one, man.
Peace, brother. God bless. Thank you. Hey, man. Everybody out there who stayed with us tonight, man. You know, we sat here, we chopped it up. We had a good time. You know, there's real historians out there, bro. I mean, man, Scrapbook Boxing, he graced the conversation tonight, man. You know, man, you got Curtis Anderson. You got there's so many of them out there, man. There's so many real historians out there. I want to stop mentioning them, so I'll leave somebody out. My brother Unrivaled, Random Acoustic. Anyway, guys, ladies and gentlemen, anybody who was in here, man, you know, Coco, I see you there, brother. Thanks for stopping in, man. I appreciate your love and your support, bro. Give me a thumbs up. You know, one of these crazy pop-ups that, you know, Bruce Goes Boxing, Jazz, and Live just decided. Bruce Goes Boxing, Jazz, and More, who's been doing a lot of lives lately. I don't know, man. Maybe I feel like I'm pimping myself out every time I get I get something I want that I want to act upon. I say, let me go get my StreamYard time in over here. And man, I've been doing this for over 3 hours over here. But you know, I had some good people. I took a little break. I got some clean water. I changed the Toka 2. Took a leak. And it's all good, man. You know, we talked some awesome boxing tonight. We had a good time. George Jakovic stopped in, bro. I mean, shit, Unrivaled. Con Shonery, never been on before, came on to my show tonight. My brother G5, Random Acoustic Thoughts, dude. This old cat couldn't ask for any more on a Monday night, man. It's 11:15. I'm probably gonna maybe go around see who's on here. Mad Chad was in here tonight. I'm glad to see you're out there, my brother, and you know, everybody else out there, man. Rodolfo Rivera Jr., man, thank you so much for coming in, man. Punch Smaller, I mentioned you earlier, bro. I'm sure I did. John McSmith, D Dubs. Anybody, Volts UK, I don't think I shouted you out yet, bro. Oh, always a pleasure to see you everywhere I go, man. Salute to you, brother. And Stormy B, man, stopped in there a couple of times, man. Shout out, bro. Peace, my brother. Hope you're feeling better, bro. And you've been working your ass off, man. I saw you not off the other day, bro. And, you know, it's like, wow. You know, this guy, talk about burning the candle at both ends, man. Shout out to Stormy B, man. A lot of energy out there, showing love to Bruce Goes over here, man. Thank you, brother. But anyway, man, I'm about to bop off, man. Peace and love, man. Thank you for stopping in. Salute.